Broadcasting from their world headquarters in Texas, it's the Arcade Repair Tips Live Show. The show that discusses arcade repair, restoration, news, and more. Now, here are your hosts, Tim and Jonathan.
Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 66 of the Arcade Repair Tips Live Show for August 2022. My name is Jonathan Leung. I'm the producer, director, and editor of the Arcade Repair Tips series. And joining me today, as always, is Mr. Arcade Repair Tips himself, Tim Peterson. Tim, how you doing?
Well, we're sweating down here in Texas, but overall okay. We'll make it.
That's right. Today is probably one of the hottest days of the year, and that's saying something so far, Tim. I think I looked at the temperature. It's at 102 earlier. And the nice thing about my game room here, the world headquarters, if you will, is that it is hot in the summer and cold in the winter, Tim. So, yeah. I mean, you kind of get that. There's no insulation because it's got like this kind of, what do you call it, roof? Like whatever. It's got kind of this high roof, and so there's not a whole lot of insulation up there like there is in the rest of the house. And so this room basically ends up being, whatever the temperature is outside, maybe just 10 or 15 degrees below that. So we're kind of hot in here, but we hope that you are nice and cool wherever you are and that you're comfortable. And Tim, we have a great show tonight. I know we had to delay it by one day.
Yeah, that was.
Would you like to explain?
I'll take the blame for that one. Just wrapping up our vacation. We came back. We'll probably talk about that in the after show. And drove 13 hours and came back and realized that yesterday was a pretty big day for me, so I could not do it. Yesterday was my 7th anniversary, so made sure that you could move it, and it all kind of worked out. So hopefully those of you who are here that were here yesterday could still be here today. But anyway, 1,000 apologies. When it falls on your anniversary, some things better take precedent,
Absolutely. Tim, I think you need to set a reminder for like a 3 or 4 weeks out now.
I think I do.
Because I'd already put out all the stuff we were going to do it Thursday. Obviously, you guys probably saw that if you're on our social media pages. But we moved it because I'm accommodating to Tim, and hopefully you guys, it wasn't too much trouble for you guys to come tonight versus the first Thursday of the month, which is when we usually do the live show. But tonight, it'll be the first Friday of the month. So, again, we're looking forward to having a great show tonight, and we're glad that you could be here. Tim, we got a couple of people in the live chat already. We got Encore's Arcade. Hello. Hope your AC is kicking, and it is, but it's still hot around here. Jeff says hi. What games are going to be worked on? We're going to talk about some of the things. If you saw the
the flyer,
the slide that we put up for each show, you'll see some of the things that we're going to talk about tonight. I know there's a case 4600 on the outline tonight, Tim. Cruis'n Exotica, I believe, is on the list for tonight. We also have
Cherry Master's one there.
Cherry Master is on there. We're talking about a TerraForce PCB, Tim, and some of the things that it may have wrong with it, and maybe change machines. Of course, the title. The machine does not take the funds.
There you go.
Is the title. So we'll be talking maybe a little bit about change machines as well with that. So just a whole bunch of stuff, Jeff. Stay tuned. You'll see some good stuff. Real Hammer Billy Lee says, hello.
Hey, Billy.
We got Mr. Dwayne79 says hello.
Hey, Dwayne.
So there you go. So we are caught up with the live chat, but remember, if you're watching this live, that you can interact with us during the show by leaving your comments and questions over there. We'll be covering, obviously, a lot of questions tonight, but we'll also be discussing some of the recent news. So if you guys want to chime in, give us your opinions on that, that would be good as well. Now, Tim, if we would have done the show last night, we would have missed out on an important piece of information that dropped earlier today from Arcade 1-Up.
Yeah, I think that's a big deal.
Yeah, so there's a new game that they just announced today, guys. We'll be talking about that once we get to the discussion portion of the show. We'll also do an after show. If you guys are watching this live, the after show occurs, roughly about 10 minutes after the regular show, where basically we talk about any topic that's on our mind, but we also take arcade questions there. Now, if you're listening to this on the podcast feed, you will not get that after show. You will have to look up the YouTube video for this episode to get that. Just a reminder. So, but Tim, we know it's hot. We know that things are, probably hot where you are too, Tim, because I see a map of the United States and I just see basically heat all over it. It just seems like there's not a cool place right now. So hopefully, like I said earlier, you're in a comfortable place to watch the show tonight, and we're glad that you're here. Tim, anything before we get started into some questions?
No, well, let's get started with the show.
Sounds good. Now, Tim, I have a couple of updates from the previous show.
Okay.
And so it was nice these guys to kind of give us some updates here. So the first one is from Cruis'n, Tim. And you may remember that he was looking for some Nintendo-style buttons to go on a Nintendo cabinet. And so he wrote us back, Tim, and here is what he said. He said, thanks for the lead on the Nintendo-style buttons. I got them from mikesarcade.com, and they work perfectly. Thank you. So, Tim, we've mentioned this before, but for all things Nintendo, it seems like Mike's Arcade is a really great place to get them. So if you guys are looking for Nintendo parts specifically, then, check out mikesarcade.com. He always has a great selection of parts for those. And, Tim, I don't know if he's fully recovered from the fire that they had yet.
I remember that.
But he is shipping out stuff, obviously, and it seems to be getting to people in a timely fashion. So we got to be thankful for that. Hopefully he's 100% back on his feet at this point. But we know a while back he did have a fire that was really rough. So, but hopefully they're doing good, and we at least know they're shipping out parts to him, which is something. So I'm glad that Cruz could get those Nintendo buttons for his Nintendo project. And then, Tim, now this update was from Gary, but me and Gary exchanged several emails back and forth. Okay, so this is like the last one that he sent. I just wanted to throw this up here. You guys may remember Gary. Gary had the question on the Punch-Out that was shifted.
Yeah.
Remember the screen was kind of shifted on the bottom, if you remember that from the last episode of the live show. And so he wrote back, oh, there we go. I'm punching the wrong buttons all over. So he says, I have a full picture after installing a cap kit on the monitor. Now the only issue is the horizontal size. It is too wide on both sides, and I don't see a pot for that. Any ideas? And Tim, I went ahead and put our response down here, or what I sent him. You can see our post and video on adjusting the horizontal width coil. Okay, so make sure you use a TV alignment tool and not an Allen wrench when doing this adjustment, Tim. And, a lot of times when you don't see a horizontal size on the monitor chassis itself, guys, you may need to adjust the horizontal width coil. And so that's what we did. Now, he said he adjusted it, and it's still a little bit too wide for him, so we'll be sending him back a couple other things he can do. Tim, I think there's a cap that you can change out a value on in order to resize it a little bit, so we will be sending him back that information. But for those of you who are just doing general monitor repair and have a screen that's a little bit too wide, make sure that you look at the horizontal width coil. We have a great post and video on that as well. Right, Tim?
Yep.
So, but it's always good to get updates. Remember, guys, if we answer your question and you have an update on whatever it is we told you, you wrote back, we'll try to cover those on the next live show, so that way we can tell everybody else, if it worked, it didn't work, if there's other things we can try. So thank you to Gary and Cruz for both those updates for this episode. Now, Tim, let's go ahead and get into the questions for this month. And the first one we have is from Harold. And Harold writes, hello, I am an HVAC repair tech. And Tim, I'm sure he's busy as all get out right now.
Yeah, and does he trade for games?
That's a good question.
That's a good question. Right.
One of my customers gave me this arcade game, a Cruis'n Exotica. My son and I loaded it into my van and brought it home. We plugged it in and played on it for an hour or more. Turned it off and went to bed. He got up this morning and turned it on. Now the screen is shrunk down and only displaying in the center. I have watched several of your videos on screen adjustment and have tried the adjustments you recommended to no avail. Do you have any thoughts on this issue? It really puzzles me as to how it worked fine last night, yet it doesn't today. Thanks for any insight you may provide. And this is from Harold again, Tim. So we have Harold here, Tim, an HVAC tech who, like I said, is probably super busy this time of year. I know I've got a good friend, Tim, that's an HVAC tech, and I know that getting him on the phone right now is near impossible. So I know he's probably busy, but he was able to pick up this Cruis'n Exotica. I don't know if a customer just gave it to him. It kind of sounds like that. So it may have been a free pickup, which is always good. Or if not, maybe he paid a little bit for it. But it sounds like we've shrunk. The screen was fine, and all of a sudden we shrunk down.
Right.
And so what do you think is going on with Harold's Cruis'n Exotica here?
Well, he did what we all have to do. A necessary evil is we move a game.
Yes.
And every time we move it, it seems like something happens. So when you move, I don't know where. Did he say where he was from?
I didn't have a location.
I can guarantee you, after traveling to South Carolina, if you live in the state of Louisiana, Mississippi, and parts of Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, you can't go more than half a block where your game's going to get jostled. There was some bad roads on them. There, I could tell when we got back to Texas, I had a deeper appreciation for our road system. So sorry.
I will say that there were some good roads in some of those states. I mean, like I-20 was pretty nice all the way through Louisiana. Now, if you're getting off of that, that's
it's spotty after that. I'm just going to say they need to. But anyway, all kidding aside, that anytime you move a game, stuff can get jostled and turned. And so one of the things, it could have just darn the luck, by playing it, it went ahead and pushed it to its limit and went out, and you had some vertical collapse. We got videos on that. But a lot of times you can just retouch the solder in those areas that could have come, just a crack or something that could have done that in that short amount of time. But, you're just going to have to get your hands dirty and get in there and watch our videos when we talk about monitor collapse and stuff. Your vertical IC could have went bad. But a lot of times, being that it did work, because that is frustrating. It's working. You played it one night, had a good time, turned it off the next day, nothing. So I'm hoping that maybe it is just a cracked solder joint.
Yeah, and the fact that it was working, like Tim said, Harold, means that it may not be anything serious. Now, it could have been that it was just time for like the hot to go or something like that, or the vertical IC just to flop out on you. If the hot went, I was about to say you probably wouldn't be getting anything. So this is probably a vertical problem because it sounds like we're having a vertical collapse, kind of like Tim mentioned there. And so the first thing we should do, though, is touch up all the solder joints in the vertical section of the monitor. So the vertical section, you should see the vertical IC chip. And we talk about this, Tim, in our video on repairing monitor collapse issues, which I think I have linked down below here, Harold, if you want to take a look at that. But near the vertical IC, just touch up all the solder joints on all of those parts around the vertical IC. That's really the vertical section of the monitor. And so once you do that, try it again, see if it works. If it doesn't, you may need to replace the vertical IC as well. I mean, it's possible, like Tim mentioned, it just went out. It happens. So
yeah, more than likely, that's one reason why they were probably getting rid of it. It was working one day, quit working the next day, working. They kind of do that when they're about to go out, and then they'll completely go out.
Absolutely. So I think Tim is right here. We need to go ahead and touch up those solder joints. And Tim, I'm going to go ahead and throw up the slide here so people can see it. From your description, it sounds like your Cruis'n Exotica monitor is experiencing some form of monitor collapse. Okay, so check our post on repairing monitor collapse issues for more information on this particular problem. Now, since the monitor was working recently, I mean, we mean recently, Tim, like as recently as like the day before, we recommend starting off this repair by touching up the solder on the vertical IC and any other parts in the vertical section that look suspect. And Tim, Michael has told us so many times, cracked, cold, and broken solder joints are like one of the number one causes of part failure or monitor failure. So this is what we're looking for. We're looking for solder joints that are cracked, cold, and are broken, but go ahead and just touch up any parts in that vertical section, right, Tim?
Right.
Go ahead, all the solder joints, just go ahead. So touch those up, especially if they, and this is common, Tim, especially if the monitor hasn't had any maintenance done on it, so no cap kits installed since it was originally manufactured and all that kind of stuff. So just be sure that you touch up that solder, and you might want to just do it on the whole monitor. Tim, we've also said before, if we're going to take a monitor chassis out, a lot of times we'll just go ahead and install a cap kit anyway.
It's that time.
Right. So, I mean, if you're already in the process of taking the monitor chassis out of the game, then you may just want to go ahead and order a cap kit for it as well and install that at the same time, especially if the caps look old. Tim, I forget what somebody used earlier, suspect capacitors.
Right.
If you see suspect capacitors on the monitor chassis, ones that maybe look a little popped on the top, maybe have some goo coming out of the bottom or something like that, those really need to be replaced as soon as possible. And if this monitor has never had a cap kit on it since the day it was manufactured, then it definitely needs one now. I mean, we're talking about late 90s for Cruis'n Exotica.
Right.
So, I mean, you're talking about 20 years minimum since that thing's had a cap kit. So, probably about time to install it if it hasn't had one already. Tim, anything else for Harold here before we move on?
No, I think we had a comment in the live chat. What did they say?
Okay. It's Mr. Retro Wolf says, hi all. He says, glad I didn't need to carry that cab. Yeah, so like Cruis'n Exotica's guys, obviously driving games like this, super heavy, right, Tim?
Right. But one thing I would like to say is when we were really new at that, I would notice we go to auction, they would never go for very much. But once we got a little more experience in them, don't shy away from them because they're really not that bad. Mm-hmm. There's just a couple bolts you take out and you can remove the seat, unplug a connector. The seat usually rolls, the top usually rolls. To be honest, it's not any harder. It may be even easier than some arcade games. So just a FYI, I wouldn't not bid on one because of that, unless you just don't have the room for it.
And now, like Tim mentioned, a lot of the driving games have casters on the bottom to make them easier to move. If yours is missing casters, Tim, we had a real good deal on casters, and I don't know if that deal's still going on Amazon, but if you check our Twitter or Facebook page, you will see a deal for 2-inch and 3-inch casters with the locking mechanism, which is really important, Tim. So if your driving cab is missing those right now, tell you what, it makes it a million times easier to move if you have those on there. Right. So I'm not a big fan of casters on regular arcade machines, Tim, but on anything you sit down in, it really can help quite a bit because it's just cumbersome to move otherwise.
A lot.
Yeah. So I think that'll wrap it up for Harold. So Harold, hopefully that answers your question, and good luck getting your Cruis'n Exotica back up and running. And Tim, it looks like YouTube Punk's here. He says, let's go. Sup Caps, sorry I'm late, Coach. So there you go. No problem at all, YouTube Punk. Glad to have you here. Glad you could join us. Hey, we're the ones that moved on you. That's what I'm looking at. I mean, it's Friday. It's not Thursday, right?
Right.
Okay, are my days off?
No, we're...
Okay, this is Friday. Like, I don't have to go to work tomorrow.
Right,
Okay.
that's all I know.
Okay, just making
I get
sure.
to sleep in.
Yeah, exactly. Just making sure there.
little bit.
But, yeah, you see, that office jobs, the perks of office jobs. I remember when I used to have to work weekends, and Tim definitely does. So. But no, I'm off tomorrow. Thank goodness, Tim. This has been a rough week. I need a little rest. My boss has been out. You know how it goes. So, anyway. But I don't think we're going to get any relief from the heat.
No.
So, off days from work, no off days from the heat so far.
I might go swimming.
There you go. So, anyway, Harold, good luck with that Cruis'n Exotica. Keep us posted if you decide to do anything that we mentioned and if it ends up working for you. Okay, Tim, let's go to Patrick.
Okay.
And Patrick has a Wells-Gardner 4600, so I'll go ahead and read his question here. He says, "Hi, I'm working on restoring my very first arcade cabinet, with the first order of business being the Wells-Gardner K4600 monitor. The monitor works, but it could use some fine-tuning. Also, a lot of the components seem to be on their last legs with brittle wires, bad splices, and some questionable capacitors, etc. I like questionable capacitors. That was the term I was looking for earlier. This has me worried about running it for any amount of time. I have thought about tinkering with it myself, but working on CRTs is a bit of a blind spot for me. Would it be enough to just send the chassis to a repair shop by itself, or should I send the tube as well? Again, it is working. Any help would be greatly appreciated." So, Tim, we have Patrick here, and he does want to he wants to maybe send off his K4600 because it's in pretty rough shape. He's saying we've got some brittle wiring, very common on an old monitor chassis like this. We've got some bad splicing on there. Maybe some people put some parts on the solder side of the chassis. We've seen that a lot too. It's got some questionable capacitors, very common in a monitor this age. So now he's wondering though, Tim, do I need to send just the chassis to the repair guy, or do I need to send the whole tube and the chassis to the repair guy? What do you say to Patrick here?
Well, fortunately, he has a Wells-Gardner 4600, which is actually, he may not even need to send the whole chassis because it has these cards on there, and they are removable, and you can just send those in for repair, which makes it a lot cheaper. But I want to preface this by saying I'm a big proponent of, if it's not broke, quit fixing it. And I will say that with caution because it is working. I would almost wait until you were having problems and then send it in, because they're going to charge about the same by the time they get it, they look at it, they repair some stuff. Having said that, though, it's your money and you do what you want to do, and I understand some people really, that kind of bugs them almost. And I'm sure it would look better if it did have a cap kit and stuff. So I would contact Paul or one of our approved vendors, and you can ask them what would they prefer you do. Now, for sure, you shouldn't send in the tube unless they ask for that, because unless you're having some kind of tube issue, when you can watch our video on checking a tube to make sure that your tube is fine. But just because one thing, it's the weight and it's bulky and it'll liable to get broke and stuff, you could send the chassis. So whoever you send it to, I would ask them on a 4600, do I need to remove the cards and just send you those? Or if you're not sure how to remove those or what to do, you might just send them the whole chassis. And I would just kind of go from there. It's kind of a personal preference. Also, you didn't exactly say where a lot of the butchered wiring and stuff is. That might be on the chassis and not just the cards. So if you want that kind of cleaned up and prettied up, if you could say it that way, you probably would need to send them the whole chassis. But for sure not the tube, unless you're having some kind of tube issue. And even then, there's not much they can do with a bad tube. You're going to have to replace it.
And shipping tubes is always a risky business anyway, Tim.
Very.
I mean, because we all know that tubes can get damaged, and we've all seen videos of how the delivery guys usually treat stuff.
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying, look, I think that my delivery guys are the best guys on the planet. Man, they do a great job. I've never had anything arrive here that looked like it had been kicked a hole into or something like that. But at the same time, we do have seen videos of people doing that. And so tubes are very delicate. I say they're delicate. They're tougher than people think. But once they're gone, they're gone. Okay?
Right.
I mean, so once it's got a hole in it, that's it. Or once the neck cracks, you ain't bringing it back, kind of thing. So it's very hard to pack one to where it won't get damaged. And so with that in mind, sending the tube is usually never a good idea unless there is a particular issue that the monitor repair guy thinks is specifically with the tube. Now, on the chassis, like Tim mentioned, we're kind of that way where we don't want to fix it unless it's broken. So as long as it's working, but we do also understand preventative maintenance, right, Tim?
Right.
And so maybe what you're looking for is a little preventive maintenance. Now, Tim, he said he didn't have a lot of experience with working on monitor chassis. The cool thing is that the K4600 may be the most user-friendly workable chassis ever.
Or maybe so.
Okay, because it has the cards in it. So what you can do literally is just take out one of the cards and just work on that. Then take out the other card and just work on that. And then you can take out the main chassis if you want to and work on that. You know,
Yeah.
but you don't have to take out the whole thing at once. You can take it out in pieces if you wanted to, which does make it a little bit more user-friendly than a standard chassis. So Tim, I'm going to go ahead and throw this up here so we can show Patrick what we're talking about. And I did put a picture of the K4600. You'll see that black bar there. That black bar, Tim, if you squeeze it, I think on the right side of the chassis, you can lift that black bar up, and then you'll have access to the two cards there. You'll have there's a horizontal vertical card, and then there's also the video input card right there, so you can remove those. And Tim, we fixed a lot of monitors just by swapping cards. You know, like, so somebody sends you a working card, you swap it in, you're good to go. K4600 is very unique that way, and it is a cool chassis, but at the same time, where those cards connect can sometimes be a point of failure. I will say that. So you have to be careful with that. But anyway, the majority of issues on CRT monitors are usually related to the chassis. Therefore, monitor repair technicians typically only need the chassis, right, Tim?
Right.
So, since your monitor is working, we can assume that the tube is working reasonably well, I think. Right, Tim? I mean, we can kind of assume that. It may not be the greatest picture, but it's probably working reasonably well. So you should only need to send the chassis in for repair. Now, with that said, the K4600 is not actually a bad monitor to work on if you want to try it yourself. Since it uses daughter cards for the horizontal, vertical, and the video input, you can do many repairs without having to remove the entire chassis from the cabinet, which is, like I said, very handy. And so, but it's kind of up to you. If you're going to ship it off, you just need to ship it off to one of our monitor repair guys, just the chassis, and they can send it back to you. Or if you want to wait till it goes out, like me and Tim are saying, you could do that. Or if you just want to work on it yourself, remove the cards and do all that, Tim, you can do that too, right?
All right.
So, I mean, there's a lot of options here for you, Patrick. So the question is, which direction do you want to go? Like Tim mentioned, though, I'm always going to lean, I think, in your direction, where if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So as long as the monitor is still working, alive and kicking, I would probably continue to run it until it died. But I see no problem in sending it off for repair and letting somebody go over it with a fine-tooth comb either. So it's really up to you as far as your preference is. But as for me and Tim, I think we're going to wait. We're going to do the wait-and-see approach. We'll wait till it breaks, and then we'll see. So, okay, so Patrick, hopefully answers your question. And good luck working on that K4600 monitor chassis. Like I said, super user-friendly compared to some of the other monitor chassis out there. Okay, Tim, let's check back in with the live show real quick. Regzer Show says, Tim did a great video on how to remove the chassis. Did you do a video on how to remove it? Oh, we did!
Sometime or another,
It's been a long time ago. Yes, removing and installing a monitor chassis. If you want to see how that whole process goes, Patrick, then definitely check out that video. That'll help you a lot. Mango Slice says, hello, guys. Great show. And then just some highs to Regzer and things like that. Okay. Hello. I think we're caught up.
Okay.
So, Tim, 4600. It's been a long time since I don't think any of mine are 4600s.
I have one in my garage right now. I just got a cap kit in for that. I'll probably be working on. So.
Yeah, I was about to say. I'm pretty sure I've got mostly 49s.
Yeah.
I've got this is a G07. This is a 49. That's a K7000 19-inch in the Mortal Kombat. I'm not sure in the Street Fighter 2. I've got different ones. K7000 19 inches I haven't seen as many of. You see a lot of K7000 25 inch. Yeah. But they are different. So, but yeah. And I have a sharp image monitor back there. Of course, that's a Sanyo G07 Nintendo game. So, those are the only 19 inches I have. I think everything else is bigger. So, yeah. But anyway, yeah. So, I mean, 4600, those are really nice chassis. We used to work on them all the time, Tim. And it seemed like we'd have a ton of them.
We had a big tub full of those cards.
Yeah, I was about to say, at one time we did. We had like a
probably
big room made
50 of them in there.
Yeah.
Just the cards. We would get them, and people would give them to us, and we would repair them, and then we'd keep 3 or 4 working cards, and that way when we were on route or whatever, we could just pop it in there and fix it real quick.
Worked really well. So anyway. Okay, Tim, well, let us continue on here. The next question we have is from Mark in New Zealand. Okay. So you're talking about location, Tim. Right. We have a location on this one, New Zealand. So let us go ahead and go over to Mark's question. Hi, I am from New Zealand, and I have a TerraForce PCB board manufactured by Nishibitsu. Am I saying it right? Hopefully in 1987. The problem I'm having is when I turn it on, I get no sound and no video feed at all. I have checked the 5 volts from the chip on the board, and it reads 4.9 volts to 5 volts. And the video wires are connected to the chassis board for the screen. What would you recommend as a starting point on diagnosing on the board? Unfortunately, my game does not have the schematics for it. Thanks. Yeah, and Tim, I looked around for some schematics to see if I could find some, and I could not find any. This is not uncommon for older games like this, Tim, not every manufacturer decided it was a good idea to put schematics in there,
Right.
mainly because bootleg boards and things like that. But Tim, this is a JAMA board too, and that's part of the problem too. About this time when we're moving to JAMA, we see less and less schematics and manuals anyway. So that's pretty common. But Tim, TerraForce board, JAMA board, no video feed, no sound. We're not getting anything, it sounds like. We're getting good voltage at the chip, though. So what do you think is going on with Mark's TerraForce board?
Well, we're always going to start at power, and I would go back and not only check the 5 volts, but also the 12 volts coming from the power supply. Being that it's JAMA, I would buy a working really cheap JAMA board or something and put in there and make sure I don't have any other issues going on, that it is not my monitor, that it is the board itself. I noticed he didn't say it's not. It probably is a board issue though, and so there's where he can watch our video on and examining a board and repair, just basic troubleshooting of a game board. But more than that, unless you have some really high-level skills, you're probably going to need to send it off for repair. That's just plain and simple. But there are some things you can try. Make sure your board is clean. Make sure your socketed chips have the oxidation off the legs and that you resocket them. Sometimes that kind of stuff will work wonders. I say, it's kind of probably less than a 10% chance, though, that if it's having issues, that you're going to have to get your board repaired. But you got to make sure that not just the 5 volts, but also the 12 volts is coming in there and working. So I've seen a lot of power supplies where either the 5 volts or the 12 volts is working, but the other is not, and they won't work in comparison like that. Also, maybe crank it up to a little bit past 5, maybe to 5.1, turning it up to see if that little extra juice. Some things, especially some of the Sega games and stuff like that, need a little bit more power.
Sounds good, Tim. And I'll go ahead and put the slide up here because I think you pretty much hit everything on it. So let's look at the power supply one more time. Like Tim mentioned, make sure that the plus 5 volt or plus 12 volts VDC is also within range, and that the negative 5 VDC is hooked up. Tim, I believe TerraForce may be one of those games that relies on negative 5 volts DC in order to get sound and maybe other issues as well. So you do want to make sure your plus 12 and your negative 5 are also in range there. Also, try coining up and starting a game to see if you get any sound. You can turn up the brightness on your monitor as well to make sure it's actually powered up. It's a JAMA board, something to remember like Tim mentioned. So you can put a cheap JAMA board in the cabinet just to make sure the cabinet is running the way it should as well. Tim, we all know what our favorite cheap JAMA board is nowadays, and that's the 60-in-1. Even if it displays sideways on your monitor, at least it'll give you a picture if you need a test board to go with. Tim, we've seen 60-in-1s now as cheap as $30.
Right.
So, I mean, there's no reason not to pick one up and at least try to make sure your cabinet is working.
It's funny because back in the day, we always kept Street Fighter boards around just for that because we had tons of them. And now they're a lot more valuable. We would just buy a brand new 60-in-1 rather than trying to buy.
Yeah, exactly. Or I mean, Cherry Master boards are still a good one too to do because Cherry Master boards are pretty plentiful, and I don't think many people are looking for those.
Right.
A Cherry Master board that's JAMA compatible will work fine, but the 60-in-1 board, they're manufacturing them still. They can be found everywhere, easy to get. So I mean, no reason not to go with the 60-in-1. If the game still does not respond after the initial steps, there's a good chance you're having board issues. And Tim mentioned our post on inspecting an arcade board. And Tim, you'll notice that this board has ribbon cables.
Yes.
Ribbon cables are a very common point of failure on arcade boards. So make sure that the ribbon cables are in good shape and that they are making a good connection. Tim, we know the ribbon cables themselves will have problems, but we also know that the solder joints on those ribbon cables will have problems, and that the pins on the ribbon cables have problems.
For
and
sure.
So all of this stuff, very common point of failure there. Tim mentioned socketed chips. Always good to go over socketed chips and make sure that they're making a good connection to the board. Sockets can come loose from the board over time. Checking solder joints on those is important as well. All that kind of stuff. But again, anything past that kind of troubleshooting, though, you're going to probably need a scope, and you're probably going to need somebody who knows a lot about electronic board level repair in order to get it working. So anything else here from Mark before we move on?
No, I don't think so. But Mark, keep us up to date. If we can be of further assistance, don't hesitate to call or write us back.
Sounds good. So Mark, hopefully answers your question, and good luck getting your TerraForce PCB back up and running. And Tim, I think that's like a space shooter, like a vertical scrolling space shooter. So a 60-in-1 board would actually probably work in the cabinet if it's got vertical orientation.
Yep.
So, I mean, not that you want to do that, but. Okay, Tim, this one is from LaShonda, and this is where our title for tonight's episode comes from. And Tim, have you ever seen Teen Titans or Teen Titans Go?
Yes.
So Starfire, the character on there, she always puts the in front of everything. So when I read LaShonda's little quote here that the machine does not take the funds, it made me think of Starfire from Teen Titans. So, but I thought it was a good title for tonight, and tonight here we have the questions. So here's the questions. From LaShonda, how do you repair the money machine? The machine does not take the funds. Okay. Now, Tim, she did not say she just said how you repair the money machine. So I'm not sure if she's talking about the coin door. She's talking about a change machine.
Right.
And there was no context on the video that she left the comment on to let us know which one it was. And so I thought, why not just do both? Okay. So Tim, let's start with a coin door. So if my coin door will not take the money I'm putting into it, what could be wrong?
Well, generally, if a coin is not accepting it, it could be a lot of things. It could be the mech not working properly and the coin not falling through. Most of the time, it's the switch or the wiring, and one of those two. And we've shot some videos on that, because if it's hitting the switch but not crediting, then it's probably in the wiring. If it's not ever switch, getting, though.
It can be a bad switch as well.
Exactly, and you can test those with a multimeter. Correct. Put it on continuity, and as you flick the switch with your finger, it should make continuity. Do that, and we have videos on that. But it could be also a bill acceptor on like a newer game that have dollar bill acceptor. So we really don't know with that one. But if she will write us back, we'll definitely can go into more detail. But then it could also be a bill. When I first read the question, I thought a bill changer or a change machine is what they're talking about. Most of the time when it won't accept, there's usually something in the magazine itself that's blocked. And at Chuck E. Cheese, when I worked there for years, it was usually a token or a ticket that had got up in there and blocking the LED or whatever, and a bill would go in, but it'd kick it right back out because it couldn't read it. So a lot of times that's what it is. They also get very dirty. They get money is probably one of the dirtiest things that we deal with, but we like to count it and we like to have it in our hands.
Absolutely.
But it will clog up those machines. They do. The wheels and stuff get all kinds of grime and stuff on them. So you can clean those. We used to take a little rubbing or isopropyl alcohol.
Isopropyl.
And you would take a cotton swab or something, or a Q-tip, and you could put that on there, and we'd clean those really good all the time. Other than that, still could be mechanical issues, could be electronic issues, could be they have a power supply. So it's kind of there's a whole big range that we could open up, but without a little bit more information, I think this is about as far as we're going to take this question tonight. But anyway, I thank you for writing in. I thought it was kind of funny, and it did make for a good title. Anytime the machine does not take the funds, you're in pretty bad shape because it won't work. So
if you're an operator, you're in real bad shape.
You're in real bad shape.
That's
so
right.
We'd be glad to help you fix that with just a little bit more information.
Absolutely. Now, Tim, I do want to say something else. Make sure that the coin mech is set for the right currency that you're trying to put into it.
Exactly.
So, if you're trying to put nickels in, make sure you have a nickel coin mech. If you're trying to put tokens in, make sure you have a token coin mech. Also, make sure and Tim mentioned this, the coin mech is clear. This is probably one of the things we saw at Chuck E. Cheese more than anything, even though I didn't work there, Tim. I go up there to see Tim, and every time there would be a coin mech that had like 15 tokens stuck in it, where kids just kept putting them in, thinking, it's not working, it's not working, it's not working.
I always used to say if the first one didn't work, surely the eighth one will.
Right.
They're just really shoving them in there.
And so what'll happen is that coin mech will just get jammed, and so literally the only way to fix that is to open up the door, open up the side of the coin mech, let everything fall out, and then you're back to where you were. So, but a lot of times somebody will if you put a quarter in a token mech, token in a quarter mech, sometimes you'll have problems with one of those getting stuck in there if it's not a dual mech. And so I think, Tim, that happened a lot with token or Canadian quarters.
Yeah.
Canadian quarters, they
have metal in them.
So the Imanex mechs that we love are great, except for they have a magnet to where if it's a Canadian quarter, it'll stick to the magnet and it'll literally block everything else. It'll just return everything else.
Uh-huh.
Because once that pathway to where the wire is blocked, it'll just return everything else to the coin chute. And so one Canadian quarter could mess up everything in those. So, but those are just a couple of the things that could happen. And Tim, I also had some other things here, so let me go ahead and put up the slide real quick. So, based on your question, it's hard to know, as we mentioned, whether you're talking about an arcade game or a change machine, build changer. So we will give a brief overview on both. If your arcade game will not take money that you're putting into it, it could be an issue with the coin mech. Make sure that the coin mech is clear and that it accepts the coins you're inserting into the slot. Now, Tim, if you need a different coin mech for whatever currency you're trying to put into it, those are available at most arcade parts retailers, right? So, like, you can get a nickel mech, you can get whatever, pretty much anything, right?
Right, just whatever denomination, even big as a 50-cent piece almost. They custom made stuff. So
yeah, I got a couple of 3D printed mechs, Tim, that allow everything to go through.
Wow.
It doesn't matter if it's a penny, nickel, dime, quarter, and that's just a good way if you've got like a donation type machine where it's like it's on free play, but if people want to donate, then they can. That's a good way to do that. So, but you can get a mech for pretty much any currency you're looking for. Just make sure that you have the right mech for the currency you're putting into it. And then if it's a change machine, Tim mentioned there's probably something stuck up in the mechanism. If it won't take newer style bills, Tim, we know that sometimes they need updates, right? So like if you have an older change machine, it's not taking your new $5 bill, you may need a update to your change scanner thing. Mm-hmm. So what do they call that thing? Bill acceptor?
Yeah,
you may need an update to your bill acceptor. That's very common. If you buy a change machine at auction, Tim, I can almost guarantee you're probably going to need to do an update to it. Mm-hmm. And the nice thing, though, is that American and Rowe and Hamilton all have people you can contact to get that done, correct?
Yeah, they have to program or send a chip, or sometimes you have to send it to them and let them do it. But
correct. And we also have a good article here that I also posted down below here, LaShonda, where it goes over some basic troubleshooting steps for the most common brands, which are American, Hamilton. Of course, Tim, this brown one's a Rowe, as you know. But you can find it at billchangers.com/troubleshooting-change-machines. And we have that link down below, too, as well, so you can check that out. Tim, anything else for LaShonda before we move on?
No, I don't think so. We would like to hear back from you, though, because we probably can help a little bit more in detail if we knew exactly. Take a picture, show us what you're talking about.
Absolutely. So, LaShonda, hopefully answers your question, and good luck getting the machine to take the funds. How about that? Is that a good way to do it? Okay, there we go. So it made for a fun title. I thought about naming it a lot of different things, but that, like I said, it just hit me the right way when I saw it. So thanks for asking the question, and hopefully we can get that machine to take them, like I said. Okay, checking over on the live chat. Looks like we're all caught up still, Tim. Are they asleep tonight? It's been a long week.
Right.
I know you guys are all asleep. Maybe when we get to the discussion portion, we'll have a couple of people chime in. Tim, literally, like 4 out of my 5 days were pedal to the metal the entire time I was at work, and then I came home and we had more work to do. It's been a week and a half.
I hear you. Same here.
I got to Tuesday, I'm like, is it Friday yet?
Right.
So here's the thing. I always tell myself it's good to be busy, because that means that if I'm busy, that means everybody else is busy too, and hopefully that means I'm going to get a big bonus check at the end of the year. Because my bonus is all based on how well we're doing as a company. So hopefully our company's doing good. If we're all busy, I think that's a good sign. So anyway. Okay, Tim, well, let us move on to the next question. This is from a new listener, Dead Air 801, and he says, love the show, new listener here. My question is, what kind of electronics classes would one take to increase knowledge on this subject? I don't want to wire up houses and things like that, but I would love to learn about how to build a harness and repair boards and whatnot. I just don't exactly know what this trade is called. Please forgive my ignorance. And Tim, I don't think it's ignorance here. I think it is kind of hard to find specific classes related to this specific field. Now, Tim, what would you recommend here for Dead Air as far as, how to learn, not really not electricians electronics, but electronics.
Right. Well, he needs to buy all of our DVDs.
Oh, there you go. I like that.
But no, I would say that any basic electronics. So look at your local colleges. Here we have a junior college, which is really good. Even learning any kind of direct current or AC currents, all that's going to really help you. So if you just have those 100 levels, I think that they would help you. Probably, but when I first started out, Jonathan, I didn't even know what AC versus DC was or anything. But we had the Atari manual, and it really helped us, the one we call the book, the Bible, and I learned so much, even how to solder. There was good pictures in there. So if you like to read, I think watching videos, and not just us, there's a lot of good repair videos out there.
I'm going to throw a shout out real quick to Randy Fromm.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of... Tim had a copy of the book for the longest time. You probably still have it around somewhere. What's the big blue book?
Big blue book,
Big
and
blue
he has
book.
a green book also.
Yeah, so we had the blue book and the green book, which are great references. But Randy also does seminars. And so if you can attend a Randy Fromm seminar, I promise it'll help you out tremendously. I mean, he goes way more in depth than we do. Tim, if we're the foundation for the house, Randy can teach you how to build the rest of the house.
Right.
I mean, that's basically what it comes down to. The stuff we go over here is very operator-centric, right? I mean, we're trying to get games going so we can make money. What Randy does, he like I said, he can tell you how to build the rest of the house. So he can tell you how to get up into the board level chassis repair, board level PCB repair, all that kind of stuff. So I will put a big plug out to Randy. He puts out some great content.
And we watched his videos and his series and stuff back when we were getting started. So I think part of it could be that type of education that you could get, anything that you could get in electronics. Now, if you want to go further into circuits and things like that, I think that would be very beneficial. If I had it all to do over again, I probably would have been an electronic engineer and would have taken a lot more electronics classes. Most of mine was learned hands-on and what I was taught. And that's kind of how we do our videos. They're hands-on, they're not super technical on purpose. We want people to be able... So if you'll keep watching... but if you'll take some of those fundamental classes, I think they would help. By all means, they'll help, no matter what. You can even fixing your own household sockets or repairing a washing machine or something. All those things will help. But our purpose was to shoot all the videos and the things that we've done to cut some of those hurdles down and stuff where people could learn how to fix a game without having to have a degree and stuff like that. So hopefully those are some good things but I would highly recommend getting a copy of the book. I probably learn more from that one source than I have anywhere else.
Yeah, and the thing about Randy Fromm, he's got a lot of great information, but it is very technical. And if you don't have at least a basic foundational piece before you start watching Randy Fromm, he may start talking up here.
Right.
And so you need to have at least a base foundational understanding of how games work before you decide to go with Randy, because Randy's going to take it. He takes it way above that. And so if you don't, it's kind of like math, Tim. If you don't understand the bottom, you're not going to understand the top level.
Right.
So. But I will go ahead and throw the outline up here. So many colleges, like Tim mentioned, offer electronics classes. Most will start you out with a digital systems or digital fundamentals type of course. And so from there, you may take classes on DC circuits. Courses on logic controllers can also be helpful. So a digital systems or digital fundamentals course is usually where they're going to start you out. And those are great classes to start in electronics. And then if you want to get deeper, you really want to find classes that are going to talk about DC circuits, because that's what a lot of boards are made up of. Obviously, boards and chassis and things are all made up of DC circuits. And then, of course, logic controllers are very helpful as well, Tim, because, nowadays logic controllers are huge. We've got stuff like Arduino and Raspberry Pi and all these kind of things. They have these cool logic controllers on them, and so being able to control that kind of stuff is really nice. So all of those are really great places to start with electronics. There are also several books out there that are great for learning electronics. Tim mentioned the book, okay, which I have a screenshot of just the cover of the book. But we have a whole post on recommended books for electronics repair that you should check out. And so the book was written, Tim, and you know this, I'm telling you, but Dead Air 801, the book was written so that people who had never seen an arcade game before knew how to repair it. And the reason why is because when Atari was shipping these games to operators, guess what? They would break.
Right.
And these operators had no idea how to fix them.
Right.
Okay? They were literally starting from scratch. And so the book starts from scratch. And that's why, for most people getting into arcade repair, it is the best place to start. It starts from how do I connect two wires together? I mean, that base level. How do I check power with a meter? We're talking about very base level. And so if you're just starting out, the book is probably your best resource. And then once you get a little bit deeper into it, you may want to start looking at Randy Fromm stuff, or maybe taking some digital systems, digital fundamentals courses at your local college and stuff like that. And that should get you a little bit further in, right?
Agreed.
So, Deader801 hopefully answers your question, and let us know what you decide to do.
Yes.
If you read the book, let us know if you find it useful. If you end up using one of our other books that we have on our books for electronic repair, please let us know which one you use. If you end up taking a course, let us know where you took it at and if it was valuable to you. Or if you end up watching some of Randy Fromm stuff, let us know if that helps you out as well. We'd love to know. We love feedback on all these sources because we feel like all these are valuable sources, right, Tim?
Right.
It just depends on where you really are in your arcade repair journey, I guess. So just let us know. So hopefully answers your question, and good luck in your quest for knowledge. How about that?
Very good.
Sounds good. Okay, Tim, we've got, it looks like we have a question in the live chat from
Okay.
Robert. He says, hey guys, got a question for you. It's multi-part. I just picked up a Space Duel and completed my Asteroids Trilogy collection. I got a good deal on it. However, the monitor was a Go8, which is for Star Trek. It did not have the Wells-Gardner 6100, which is the more common of the two. New question, bought a used, CGC Arcade Legends 3 with a 25-inch CRT. The CRT had bad burn-in. I know burn-in cannot be fixed. I saw somewhere that a sharp 25-inch TV can be put in some arcades. Is that an option if I should consider? Or you ever hear of a Go8 working with an Atari? So, as far as the Arcade Legends 25-inch with bad burn-in, you can... there are tube compatibilities with Sharp TVs in particular. I'm not sure if it's true with that particular monitor that you have. So that depends. Tim, we have a thing. If the netboard, if the neck board fits, then it's probably a match. But if the neck board doesn't fit, you must quit. It's kind of the way we say it around here. If the neck board doesn't fit, you must quit. Typically, I mean, you can... There may be some other things you can do to get around that, but typically if the neck board doesn't fit, we quit. We don't go any further. There are still some resources out there, Tim, and I think we still link to the junknet.net tube swap spreadsheet, which has compatibilities for different TV monitors and different tubes. And so whatever chassis you have, you can probably find a compatible tube. And Sharp TVs do make for really good compatible tubes. So if you are looking for one, but you need to make sure, though, that whatever model you get, it matches the number of pins and the socket on the neck board to the whatever tubes that you're trying to match it with. That's very important.
That's a good place to start anyway.
So on the Go8 and the working with an Atari, I think the Go8 will work fine with an Atari.
Sure.
I don't think there's any problem with that. It should be fine. I think I've seen that before. Tim, have you seen that before? A Go8 working in an Atari cabinet?
Surely.
I was about to say,
see why not.
I know it doesn't. I mean, the Wells-Gardner 6100 may be the more common of the two. I know that we've probably seen it more, but the Go8 is very common as well. I mean, we've seen that in several Vector games, so I can't imagine that it wouldn't be compatible with the Atari games as well. And like I said, I think I'm pretty sure I've seen one with a Go8 in it. Pretty sure. So
Yeah.
I think compatibility won't be an issue there. Robert says, if I could find everything for a Wells-Gardner 6100 except the tube, can you use any tube, or are Vector tubes different?
They're different.
They're a little different. So now, with that said, the Go8 tube may be compatible because they're both Vector tubes, and so I don't know that off the top of my head, though, if they would be compatible or not. I still think the Go8 will work, though. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, Tim, you have any objections with that?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think the Go8 tube will still be compatible with the Atari game. I mean, as long as you hook it up properly, I think it'll be fine. I don't think there's any incompatibilities there. So I think Vector monitors will work in Vector games, and it doesn't matter brand or model. I could be wrong about that, but you know, it's been a while since we worked on Vector games. Golly, Vector games.
It's been a few minutes.
Obviously, they're not something that's still around anymore, and it's been a while since they produced new Vector games. But I think you'll be in good shape with the Go8 if you just hook it up and try it. At least try it and see if it works. And if it doesn't, that tube may still be workable for a 6100 as well. So, anything else?
No.
Okay, good. Okay. He says, also, for your listener that is learning, I practice my soldering skills by buying those practice kits. Oh, Tim, I forgot to mention that. So we just posted a deal on one of the build your own FM radio kits.
Okay.
And Tim, that kit not only teaches you how to solder, it has all the parts like on the paper strips, where you can take the parts off the paper strips, you put it on the board and you solder it. The manual will tell you what each piece does.
Okay.
So if you just want to get into the fundamentals of electronics, those kits are a fantastic place to start. That FM radio one, Tim, was $14. So for $14, you can get a really good understanding of electronics.
And if they go to our Facebook page and scroll back through you recently posted that.
Yeah, just a couple days ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I don't know if it's still $14. Deal may have gone off, but those practice kits, like Robert said, invaluable. And we used to say, like, take old electronics and do it. You can, but those practice kits actually a lot of times will tell you what each part does. And that, to me, is more valuable than just randomly soldering or desoldering parts.
Right.
So, good stuff. So, John says the voltages are different on the G08 from the 6100. So the voltages may be different between the two. I don't think there's a problem, though, with compatibility, though. I think you can still run the G08 in an Atari game. So, but the voltages may be different, so make sure that you hook up the correct voltage to whichever one it requires. So there's a great troubleshooting guide on vector monitors, Tim, and I can link to it. Robert, if you send me an email and request it, go to questionsarcaderepairtips.com, say, hey, do you have the manuals for vector monitor troubleshooting or for the two monitors? We can send you that information, and those manuals have everything that you're going to need as far as the compatibility between the two, voltages that they take, all that kind of stuff. That's probably what I would go by for sure.
Okay.
So.
That's a good idea.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. I think we're caught up, Tim. Let us move on to our quick question and answers. So we got some rapid fire here. I've got 3 for you here, Tim, that we've picked out. We've got the first one here on some monitor stuff, the second one on a Cherry Master, like you mentioned at the beginning of the show, and the third one on some fuses. So let's go ahead and get to those right now. So we have Kumi, and she left this on our Troubleshooting Games That Are Playing Blind video. It says, hi, you showed us what a fuse looks like, but you didn't show us the hot and the flyback as well as how to repair and replace them. Can you show this? So Kumi wants to see the hot and the flyback. Marvin has a Cherry Master. Everything on the monitor is in focus, but the fruits and bars. They are blurry, but everything else looks good. Can you help? So we got a Cherry Master with blurry fruits and bars. Everything else is good. And then Corianne says she checked the fuse on her arcade game, but it does not have another fuse to compare it with. What do I do? And I think she's thinking value, Tim. Okay. So, like, she's trying to make sure she had the right value in her game for the fuses, but she doesn't know. She's going to try to compare it to a different one that was in her game, but there's not another one, so she's not sure what to do. So, again, Kumi has wants to know if we could show the hot and the flyback repair in our video. Marvin wants to know why his fruits and bars are blurry on his Cherry Master, and Corianne wants to know what value fuse she should put in whatever game that she's working on. So, Tim, let's take Kumi's first. We don't show the hot and the flyback replacement in our video, but why don't we?
Well, we edited the video. It's actually just the extended cut on the DVD actually goes into a lot more depth and does show that process. So I would highly recommend that they get the DVD because it does have those areas that we didn't show. And that would probably be the easiest solution.
Absolutely. Okay, Tim, we had Marvin. He's got blurriness on his fruits and his bars, but he doesn't have any blurriness anywhere else. What's going on?
It sounds like there's some kind of convergence or color imbalance or whatever, and they need to check to make sure that he needs to go into his settings and stuff and make sure that they're going through the color test and everything and see if everything's lined up or something, and it's not, because it's weird that those would be blurry but not everything else.
And then Corianne says she doesn't have another fuse to compare this fuse to. How does she know that fuse is good and that it's the correct value?
Well, you're going to need to check it with a multimeter, not just your eyesight, which I assume is what she's doing, is she's just looking at it and can't tell. But by checking it with a meter, you'll actually see if the fuse is good, if it's how it's rated and stuff, and it is imprinted on there, so it's very tiny, and you do have some. Now, I used to could see that easily. Now I would probably have to get a magnifying glass and a good flashlight to see it. But check. One of the best things to do is to get the manual for the game and see what it's supposed to be, because even whatever you're pulling out there could have been replaced 10 times, and it may not be the exact one that's supposed to be there. So that may help also, is to check the manual.
Sounds good. Well, Tim, I think we got them all. So let me go ahead and put the outline screen up here. So, Kumi, there is an extended cut of this video on our Volume 4 DVD that does show this. Okay? It does show our hot and flyback parts being replaced. And actually, Tim, it actually shows us removing a flyback from another chassis. Because we did not have another flyback. You know, this is a trivia thing. We did not have another flyback ready. We thought the hot was going to fix it.
Right.
And so we ended up pulling a flyback off of a trash chassis and putting it on there. And it actually shows us desoldering the flyback from one chassis and putting it on the other chassis. So, because, Tim, we used to have a bunch of parts chassis, right? Mm-hmm. And so we had one. It was good stuff. But you can pick up a copy of that extended cut, though, on our Volume 4 DVD at arcaderepairtips.com/store. So just go ahead and order that, and it will have that part of the video. So if you want that part of the video, highly recommend you do that. So Marvin, I have a picture here of a Sinistar where the purity rings, convergence rings, whatever you call them, are misaligned. Mm-hmm. And you can see here that the red looks clear, but that the Sinistar guy himself does not look so clear.
Right.
And so this is what Tim talks about with the color imbalance. And so try using a color test to make sure all of the colors are balanced. And it could be a convergence/purity issue as well. So make sure that your convergence and purity rings are set properly, and that that'll make a difference as well. So we have a video on adjusting the convergence rings that you can check out if you want to see that. Corianne, make sure you use a multimeter to check whether or not the fuse is good. Check the manual for your game to see if it has the correct fuse values. Correct. So there you go. Make sure that you check the manual for your game. That should show you what the value should be. So there you go. Tim, is there anything else here that we want to say before we move on?
No, I don't think those were some quick questions. Maybe some other additional comments or questions in the live chat.
Yeah, so John says for electronics learning, he recommends the Getting Started in Electronics book by Forrest Mims. I forget. But Mims.
Okay.
That is one of our recommended books. So if you're going to the recommended books on electronics repair, we do have that one listed on there, I believe. That's a very good book, Tim.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Radio Shack, you can buy copies still at RadioShack.com, believe it or not.
Okay.
That's one of the books that they really put out there for a lot of people to learn electronics. Let's see. Mr. Retro Wolf says, Ben Eater videos on YouTube for how computers work on a breadboard. Very good. So when I took a digital systems class in college, I got to do a lot of breadboarding. And breadboarding just allows you basically to hook up electronic components without having to have a printed circuit board to lay them on. So you can hook them up wire to wire, Tim, pin to pin, or wherever you're going. And, we had to make a little alarm clock that we had to wire up on the breadboard. So that was like our final project thing. So, but breadboarding is a great way to learn about electronics and what different parts do for sure. Robert says he had a cracked neck on the G08, so that may be why he can't use it. Yeah, if that's the case, you're just gonna have to find another monitor. Hopefully, the 6100 is fine. I think either one would work. Like I said, you do need to watch the voltages, like John mentioned, but yeah, as far as tubes go, you will need to get another vector tube. Yeah. So find a monitor with a vector, or find a vector tube monitor in order to replace. And this is why a lot of vector games, unfortunately, have started to, they kind of devalued in a way because there's so many out there now where the monitor isn't working. And there are kits, Tim. I think there's a vector LCD kit now that will allow you to use an LCD, and it has a vector translation board on it.
Nice.
But I forget if they ever put that into full production or not. If you do a search for Vector Arcade LCD, I'm sure it'll come up if it's still available. But there for a while, I want to say some people were working on a project to do that. But again, that means going LCD, and there's a lot of people who don't want to do that anyway. So I understand. But anyway. Hey, Paul's here. Hey, Paul, how's it going? So good to have him here as well. Paul Dre, Tim.
Okay, hey, Paul.
So there you go. Okay, well, I think we're done with all the questions, except if something comes up in the live chat, Tim. I did want to talk about our travels, and where you went, where we went, and if you stopped in any arcades and stuff like that. Okay. So that's all I really wanted to do. So, Tim, there's a couple of places that we went. I'm sure there's a couple of places you went to. We went to Gulf Shores, Alabama on vacation, and so we stopped at 2 arcades along the way. Well, yeah, I guess 2. We stopped at one in Monroe, Louisiana. And so that was Tilt Studio in Pecanland Mall. And Tim, it had to be one of the cleanest arcades I'd seen. It was fantastic, nice. Super clean. They had classic games there too, like fighting games, and along with just like some regular classic arcade games, Miss Pac-Man's, Donkey Kong, stuff like that. So really good stuff. And so really had a good time there. And then we went to Lulu's Arcade at Lulu's in Gulf Shores, Tim, and they had all the games that we like to play. My son is very big into Jurassic Park Arcade. That is like his favorite game. He calls it Dino Shooting. And so anywhere we find one of those, we have to play it. And so who knows how much money I've spent on Jurassic Park Arcade. So Raw Thrills and Eugene Jarvis, you guys have all my money. But great game. I had a great time just stopping at some arcades. So Tim, did you get a chance to play at any arcades while you're on your vacation?
No, honestly, we were so packed in time. Of course, we drove all the way from here to South Carolina, about 14 hours, and so by the time we got there and we got to eat and see my son, and he got a promotion, and we watched that, it was about time to come home. But it was funny because one of the arcades we drove literally right by within a block, and I was wanting to stop, but by then we had been driving for 13 hours. I was ready to get home. But funny how you went to one of the arcades. I drove exactly right by there, and so I noticed how big it was. I couldn't believe how it had grown over the years. because that used to be an arcade that I went to when I was a teenager, but it was in another part of the mall. So I didn't get a chance to do much. Now, my son was playing some new games. So, what was he playing, John? You will know. He was playing something on Xbox and it had all these Marvel and all the Warner Brother characters.
Multiverses?
That's what he was playing.
Multiverses.
So he was playing Multiverses and was watching that a lot.
Yeah, Multiverses, I think it's just in beta right now.
Yeah.
But basically, it's Super Smash Brothers for Warner Brothers characters.
Yep.
So that's what it is. And they say it's really good. I haven't gotten a chance to play it yet, but it looks really fun. I love that Super Smash Brothers style of a fighting game, I guess you will, where it's not about like life so much as it is getting knocked off your platform.
Right.
And so it's very kid friendly. So I look forward to Multiverses. Hopefully I'll get to play it. YouTube Puck says, Tilt Studio, are they affiliated with the original Tilt? I think they are. I think it is actually a part of Tilt. But Tilt Studio had mostly redemption games, Tim. But like I said, they had a back corner with classic games, some fighting games, Tim. Actually, the back corner kind of looked like my room here. It had like a couple. It had Tekken Tag Tournament. They had a Marvel vs. Capcom 2 in showcase cabinets. And then they had, like I said, a Miss Pac-Man, a Donkey Kong over in that corner. Not all of those were working, but all the redemption pieces were in really great shape.
Okay.
All of them were. I was surprised. They had two bowling lanes that you could swipe your card and use your credit to bowl on, which was really interesting. So, like, there wasn't an attendant there. And they had, like, they had a putt-putt, a glow-in-the-dark putt-putt, but there was nobody there either. You just swiped your card and it spit out a ball.
Oh, okay.
And then there were golf clubs over to the side.
Huh,
So, I mean, it's like none of that required an attendant. There were maybe 2 attendants in the entire place, which was crazy to me. So, I mean, it was huge. I mean, we're talking about probably the size, Tim, of a Dillard's.
Okay.
Okay, just to give you an idea of the size. So, I mean, it was a gigantic
Oddly enough,
arcade.
I think it was a Dillard's.
It probably was at one time. I wouldn't be surprised. But all the games were really spread out, and they were all at angles. They weren't, like, lined up like what you'd probably see in a traditional arcade more of. But it was, I tell you what, clean as all get out. Golly. There's, a lot of times you go to arcades, they feel dirty and nasty. This did not feel dirty and nasty at all. So somebody definitely knew the meaning of preventive maintenance, right?
Good.
So there you go. But anyway, highly recommend that arcade. Now, Tim, part of that could be, too, that it's right off the interstate, and so it probably gets a lot of travel, and so they probably try to keep it in good shape, Carpets clean, everything like that. When you've been an operator for a long time, you notice a lot of that stuff,
And if you're going through Louisiana on I-20, Monroe is really almost halfway in the middle of the state.
Correct.
So Shreveport and Vicksburg are here, and here's Monroe in the middle. So it's a good stop if you're going from Dallas, say, to Atlanta or somewhere. It's a good stop if you want to try out Tilt Arcade.
Absolutely. So there we go. But yeah, we went there, and then Lulu's Arcade, which had a really good selection of some newer stuff, some older stuff. They had like a Mario Kart arcade, Tim, some other things. I had fun. The kids, I wish I would have taken more pictures, but with kids, it's really hard to hold credits, hold kids, take pictures, and all this kind of stuff. So my kids, and they each get a card, and so they each want to go in like 10 different directions. And so we played Luigi's Mansion Arcade, which is really fun. And like I said, I can't tell you how much I played Jurassic Park Arcade. I've beaten that game who knows how many times now. I have captured all the dinosaurs there are to capture, Tim. Like I said, the Raw Thrills, they're probably still banking over that. Every time I go to one, too, people are playing it.
Yep.
So it obviously makes money. But anyway. So I got to play some games. It's always fun. Tim, we say fix the game, play the game. Sometimes we just want to play the game. And so I got to play some games, really excited about that. It was a good vacation. Glad to be back. Now, Delusionals Arcade says, so is today Thursday? You missed the part where Tim explained why we had to move to Friday this week. Tim, would you like to tell us again?
Yesterday was my anniversary, so I chose to take my wife to dinner instead of live chat. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Now, you didn't tell me this, though, until Wednesday.
Yeah, right, Wednesday. Because I forgot what day it was because we've been on vacation and driving for 14 hours, but I knew something was coming up that week.
I'm going to put it, I got Tim's phone right here. I'm going to put the reminder in here.
It's funny. We actually have a picture on a wall, and it has our initials. We ordered it. It looks like our initials carved, and it tells the day we got married. And we both laugh because we say if that wasn't there, neither one of us would remember what day it was. So, guys, don't forget your anniversary anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why we had to move to Friday. Hopefully it wasn't too inconvenient for you guys. Glad that you were able to make it today. Tim, we're going to reward everybody for being able to make it today, or reward one person.
Right.
So I have this cool Karate Champ mini arcade. And if you will send an email to contest@arcaderepairtips.com, you will be entered to win this, and I will ship it out to one of you. I don't know who. Maybe I'll let Tim decide. I don't know. Contest at arcaderepairtips.com. Put your name, shipping address in there so we know where to send it to. And if we choose you, I'll just ship it to you. Okay? This is a Karate Champ. I've got a bunch of these around the game room, so I was like, let's just give one away tonight, right?
Yep.
So, contest at arcaderepairtips.com. Here in a minute, while Tim's doing some talking, I'll put it in the live chat so you guys can see. But if you're here, only if you're here live. Now, those of you who are listening on the podcast feed, by the time you hear this or you watch the YouTube recording, it's gone.
Right.
Okay,
we'll already give it away.
Right, exactly. Probably by tomorrow, we'll determine who the winner is, and I'll email the winner and let them know that they won. So again, send your full name, your address to contest at arcaderepairtips.com. Contest at arcaderepairtips.com. And if you're one of the lucky winners, you will get this. So again, if you're watching this after the fact, you're probably ineligible. But otherwise, if you're here right now live, contest at arcaderepairtips.com. I will remind you again before the end of the show. So for those of you guys who aren't watching, we'll give you guys it. And I can see the contest entries as they come in. I was actually checking it just to make sure that everything was working. But contest at arcaderepairtips.com is where you want to send it to, guys. So go ahead and send your emails there. We need your name. We need your shipping address because it won't get to you otherwise. So name and shipping address and contest at arcaderepairtips.com if you want to be entered for a Karate Champ Mini Arcade. YouTube Punk says, boo, you should have brought your wife with her on as a guest. What's up with that, Tim?
Well, it's an idea, but I don't think she'd go for it.
There you go. So, no, it is what it is. We moved it, so no harm, no foul. You guys are all here, and so I think we're in good shape. But anyway, sorry about the day delay. First Thursday night of every month, except for in August. So there you go. Right. Okay. Oh, I forgot to mention, Tim, that we had a little church outing at our local arcade, which is called Grand Slam. Uh-huh. And when I went there, though, there was a Cruis'n Blast, Tim, that was in basically a drive imaging mode, and was just sitting there. I won't put I have a picture of it. I took a picture, but it's literally like sitting there just imaging the hard drive, like while everybody else was just playing games. So I don't know what happened, but obviously it had a corruption or something like that. So hopefully they can get that one back up and running. I will say this Grand Slam does a pretty decent job of keeping all their games up. With most of those redemption pieces, though, and most of them are fairly new, it's not hard to do, but those games get a lot of play, and they do a decent job of keeping everything up. So good for our friends here locally. Grand Slam, it's a good place to go. John says 90 degree 19-inch tube for Amplifone, 100 degree for the Wells-Gardner 6100 and Geo8. So there you go. So a little bit of information there for Robert, I think, Tim, that was looking for that replacement vector monitor earlier. Yeah. So
is that John that said that?
Yes.
Thank you, John, for that additional information.
There we go. Okay, Tim, we're moving on to our discussion section of the show, and tonight we've got a couple of different things that we put on if you guys obviously saw the little slide for this episode, you've probably seen down at the bottom. But Tim, they just announced the Queen Pinball machine, and that's Pinball Brothers who will be manufacturing it, and I've got a couple of the details here so you can see. So Pinball Brothers reveal Queen Pinball machine. This is from pinballnews.com, Tim. Swedish pinball company Pinball Brothers have officially announced the launch of their new Queen Pinball machine. There are custom voice callouts from the surviving band members, and while the game includes 14 famous Queen tracks. The game is themed around the band's live performances, Tim. And for those of you guys who have ever even seen a live Queen concert, like on video, the amount of energy that they brought to the stage is amazing. So, I can imagine that's the reason why they decided to go with the live performances versus like music videos or anything. It features live versions of the tracks and shows concert footage of the band performing them on the 18.5-inch LCD panel. The main playfield feature is a red special upper playfield modeled, and that's a guitar. The red special upper playfield model, it's modeled around Brian May's famous guitar, Tim. And you can see a picture of it here, like just a little piece of it so you can see. And Tim, I believe that they had done a prototype of this at one point that we got to see, but this is them announcing that it is going into full production and that we will see these coming out of Pinball Brothers very soon. And so if you're a fan of the band Queen, or if you're just if you just like their music or something like that, you might want to consider this. It looked like both models were going to sell around the 10K mark. US, I guess. So you're looking about 9,500, I think, for the for one model, and I think like 10,995 for the upper model. So almost 11,000. So 9.5 for one, 11 for the other, something like that. Two different models. But it looks interesting. Hopefully, we'll get a chance to play one. Somebody here in the States will grab one, Tim, and we can check it out. So, but Tim, are you a pretty big Queen fan? You like their music?
Oh yeah, I love anybody who grew up in the 80s loves Queen.
Absolutely. Good stuff. But yeah, just looking forward to that. Always looking forward to new pinball machines, Tim. It's always cool. So, Delusional says they probably went for live music because the rights to the recorded albums are locked. Could be that too. So,
Could be.
absolutely. So, Tim, this is a pretty big story right now, and that is that they actually are going to release the Sega Genesis Mini in North America. Tim, we didn't know if we were going to get any here because it had been announced for Japan, but it had not been announced for here. It has been announced for here. So Sega's next mini retro console is also making its way to North America. The Sega Genesis Mini 2 will launch in North America on October 27th. Sega confirms. The Genesis Mini will have more power and a library of 50 classic games previously unreleased on the Genesis Mini. This will also include some Sega CD titles too. Some of the games include Sonic CD, Sonic 3D Blast, Sylphid, Afterburner 2, Virtual Racing, and Outrun. So there you go, right there. We got it coming now, Tim. There have been subsequent stories that have come out about this, saying that they're only going to produce about 10% of the amount that they produced for the last Genesis Mini.
Okay.
10%.
Wow.
Which means that if you want one, you need to pre-order. And Tim, I have our pre-order link down below if you guys are going to pre-order it. Right now, it's running about, I think, $120, which I know sounds like a lot. But apparently what happened, Tim, is that Sega Japan is the one manufacturing all of these. And the last one was done by Sega of America. So this one's just done by Sega of Japan. And so when Sega of Japan placed their order, they said, well, we want mostly Japanese, but give us like a little bit of the North American version too. And so basically what we're getting is just that little bit of the North American version.
I see.
So if you really are a Sega fan, you really want that, you need to pre-order. It's only available from Amazon right now. And like I said, it's $120 with shipping, something like that, and it is sold by Sega of Japan. And so if you really want that as a collector's item for your collection, make sure you go ahead and pre-order it to guarantee that you will get it. So I don't know I guess I don't know how profitable the first one was. Maybe it wasn't profitable enough for them to produce like a whole line like they did the last time.
Yeah, interesting.
Obviously, Nintendo didn't have that problem.
No?
Because Nintendo was able to sell out the NES Classics and the SNES Classics really quickly. So maybe, I don't know if they overproduced or what, but there's a reason why they're producing less. It must not have been a big money maker for them. That's the only thing I can figure. So if you want one, pre-order link down below in the show description. Get you one now because don't know how many there'll be. Let's see. Tim, Toys R Us is making a comeback. So Toys R Us is making a comeback. What to know about the big return thanks to Macy's. So Toys R Us is coming back in a big way thanks to an expanded partnership with Macy's. Beginning in July, Macy's will start the process of bringing the beloved Toys R Us brand to every Macy's store in America this holiday season, according to a press release. The in-store shops, which are slated to continue rolling out through October 15th, will vary in size, ranging from 1,000 square feet in smaller locations to up to 10,000 square feet in flagship locations. Now, Tim, every Macy's store is going to get a Toys R Us section.
Okay, everyone.
Everyone.
Nice.
So if you have a Macy's near you, there will be a Toys R Us section in there. It is coming out. They should be done with all of that by October 15th is what they're saying.
Okay.
So, if you want to take your kid to have a Toys R Us-like experience, then you're going to have to find a Macy's somewhere real close to you to do that. I tell my daughter all the time, I feel like she was like the last Toys R Us kid. Because, she's probably one of the last kids that's going to remember, her generation is the last one that's going to remember actually going to a Toys R Us.
Right.
I guess, are there stores like that, Tim? They're just filled like from ceiling to floor with toys anymore? I know you go to like Target, you go to Walmart. Obviously, those places have toys and things. Yeah. But that was the thing about Toys R Us. It was literally ceiling to floor toys everywhere, the entire place. So I miss Toys R Us. I do, like real Toys R Us. But if we can get it back in any form, I'm okay. So hopefully this is the start of big things. Hopefully Toys R Us will come back. I don't know. I have a lot of fond memories of that brand.
Me too.
So speaking of fond memories, Tim, how about Tron?
Okay.
You've got some 40-year fond memories of Tron because now it's 40 years old.
Wow.
So, Tron, Disney's most non-franchise franchise, is 40 years old. Disney's Tron was released on July 9th, 1982, with critical acclaim for its visuals and marks off for having a nonsensical story. Tim, would you agree with that?
I would agree.
There you go. Tron found decent success at the box office. The film even managed to score Oscar nominations at the 55th Academy Awards for sound and costume design. The film was also followed up by Tron Legacy in 2010, while Legacy would go on to become its own box office success. Attempts at continuing Tron haven't gone well. considering Disney now owns Marvel and Star Wars, a revival for Tron seems unlikely.
Yeah.
So that is unfortunate. Tim, so when it came out, I was only 3 months old at that time, just to tell you how old I am. And so I saw Tron, I think, on the Disney Channel when I was like 5 or 6. Was the first time I watched it. And I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. So I liked the visual style, and obviously the story, I couldn't grasp the story at that time. I kind of got it more as I got older. Until now I'm a computer programmer, I'm like a lot more fond of it. But it was definitely something that was hard, I think, for kids to grasp for sure, and even some adults. But it's still something that's very fun to me. And people talk about the 2010 reboot being really, really bad. I liked it.
I liked it too.
I mean, look, both of them are not like the greatest movies in the world. I totally get that. But they're entertaining and they're fun and I like them. So, Tim, something else that's 40 years old is on my shirt. Yeah. So I have my Bucky's 40th anniversary shirt on.
40 years old.
So it says on the back, we're going to party like it's 1982. That's the year I was born. So that's why we have it. So Bucky's, if you guys don't know what Bucky's is, and anybody who's road tripped through the southern part of the United States should, but Bucky's is the best gas station ever with 1 million pumps, 1 million clean bathrooms, and snacks and foods from all over the place. Right. So and shirts. So, and just look for the beaver when you're on the interstate. I promise you'll find one.
When I was in New York, somebody asked me, was everything bigger in Texas? I said, you ever been to Buc-ee's? And they said, no, what's a Buc-ee's? I said, if you want, when you get off the plane, Google Buc-ee's, go there first and get some gas. And I said, you'll know if everything's bigger in Texas.
That's right. Buc-ee's was started here, but they do have them, I think, across the entire southern part of the United States.
I saw where they were building one in Auburn, Alabama coming up. So
there's one in a little bit past Mobile, between Mobile and Gulf Shores, Tim, that we stop at quite often. I can't remember what city that is. But there's one in Alabama. They're all over the place, but the majority of them are here in Texas. And so if you've never been to a Buc-ee's, it's quite the experience. And us people in Texas are very proud of our Buc-ee's because it started here. And so definitely need to make sure you check it out if you've ever come down this way. So let me see here. Delusional says FAO Schwartz in New York City is still a dedicated toy store, Tim.
Okay.
So there you go. Most famously seen in big with Tom Hanks playing the foot piano. I have a picture of me on the foot piano.
Right.
I have been to that store. I did not realize it was still around, but I have a picture of me and my wife on the big piano.
Right.
And speaking of people from Texas, the lady who was at the big piano said, "Where are y'all from?" And we said, "Texas." Well, she didn't say, "Where are y'all from?" She said, "Where are you guys from?" And we said, "From Texas." And she's like, "That makes sense. People from Texas are always getting on this thing." You know why? Because we're playful people here.
Right.
So that's why all the arcade games are around. So, but no, the big piano is awesome. So if you ever get a chance to go to FAO Schwartz in New York City, go get on the big piano. You promise you won't be disappointed. Let's see. Glenn says, I like the music of Daft Punk on the reboot. Yes, man, the album. Get the vinyl version of that.
Right.
The Daft Punk soundtrack for Tron Legacy, it is fantastic. So you will not be disappointed. Let's see. Paul says, we always stop at Buc-ee's, spend at least $50 every time. That's what I'm talking about, exactly. Paul. We knew you would, because Buc-ee's is the place to go. And like I said, there's a ton of them here in Texas. So because they started here, and I heard the guy interviewed, Bucky is his nickname. And so when they were trying to think of a mascot, for some reason a beaver just seemed to fit, is what he said. And so they did the beaver. There's always a big statue of Bucky the Beaver out there, Tim, that you can take a picture with if you want to. Here's the thing, though. They're not all the same. Some are bigger than others. I will say that. The one in Alabama is small, but what's the one in Terrell is probably medium-sized. What's the one like going to Austin, Tim? That one's pretty big. I can't remember the name of it.
There's one in San Antonio. There's so many of them.
They vary in size. They're not all the same, but they're all big.
I know that they just built one out of Texas. It was the biggest one, and Texas said, "Hold my beer, you can't do that. We got to have the biggest one." So now they're building an even bigger one. And I just stopped at one in Ennis the other day. There's one in Royce City now.
Yeah, Royce City. That's good.
That is a big one, and so I'm not sure what the biggest one is now, but I know that the biggest one is fixing to be built back in Texas because we couldn't have anybody outdo us even on Buc-ee's side.
Now, fun fact about Buc-ee's, Tim, is that when they go into a place, basically they try to negotiate no sales tax on their end, or that they get to keep a portion of the sales tax for a certain amount of time. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
So basically, hey, we're going to bring all this commerce and stuff to your city, but we want like a little bit of a sales tax holiday, until, or at least, for a little bit, like for a 4, 3, 5 year term or something like that. And they do that because they know they're going to bring people in. People are going to come to Buc-ee's, and they're not just going to stop at Buc-ee's. They're going to stop at everything around Buc-ee's. The one in Terrell, Tim, it used to just be open field there. But
Right.
now there's like a whole shopping center. There's like
Hotels.
15, 16 places to eat. There's like
Yep.
hotels there. And so even though they're not making the sales tax on the city's not making the sales tax on the Buc-ee's,
They're making it.
everybody else is pitching into that sales tax, I promise you. So, Paul says the one in Atlanta is gigantic. So
Okay.
there you go. I mean, they're all over the place in the South. So, but again, here, Glenn says vinyl rules. That's right, vinyl rules. Tim, my favorite album of the year I just bought on vinyl, and I can't remember the name of it. I'll tease that for the live show, for the
Okay.
after show. The after show, I'll tell you. So far, I've got in the one that's leading the pack for best album of the year. I got recently on vinyl for me, and I'll tell you what that is in the after show.
Okay. A new album.
Released this
Okay.
year. Yeah, every year I pick an album that's kind of my album of the year.
Okay.
And so this one so far is my album of the year. So, and I mean, my music choice, I'm kind of, I don't know what you would call it. I'm all over the place. I listen to pop. I listen to classic stuff, obviously, 70s, 80s, and 90s. I can't get away from that. But I listen to new pop as well, which
Okay.
I am still I have been top 40 person forever, Tim. Like, I like top 40 from the 70s, the 80s, 90s, and today.
Nope.
So, I mean, I listen to all of it. So, but with that in mind, I have an album. We'll tell you about it in the after show. Okay. Let's see, Mr. Retro Wolf. We just got one in Katy a little while ago, Tim. So there's a
Okay.
Buc-ee's in Katy now. So there you go. So this is my shirt. If you guys don't know what a Buc-ee's is, you need to figure it out. Next time you're down south somewhere, make sure you look it up if you're near one. So, okay, Tim. Moving on here now. We already talked about Tron, but we also had a death in the Tron family, if you will, and that is David Warner.
Warner, yeah.
Okay, he recently died at age 80. British actor David Warner, who starred in Star Trek and Tron among many other projects, has died aged 80. The BBC reports that Warner died of a cancer-related illness. His family shared the news with an overwhelming heavy heart. Fans of the original Tron movie will remember him for his roles of Sark, Dillinger, and the Master Control Program, the MCP, right, Tim?
Right.
So, yes, and he played those parts really well because, man, he was a good villain, Tim. I mean, it may have a nonsensical story, but you knew who the bad guy was.
Right.
Just saying.
He
So
played that part great.
he did, exactly. So, I mean, look, you can only do what the script tells you to do.
Right.
But I really think he went maybe above and beyond that in his acting ability. It really shows up on screen in Tron just how well he does. And Star Trek as well. So, if you're familiar with his work from that. So, anyway, so sorry to hear that. Just, thoughts and prayers with this family during this time. Difficult time for anybody losing a loved one, obviously. So, now, Tim, this story broke today.
Okay.
Okay, and so we're going to go ahead and cover it real quick. If we would have done the live show last night, we wouldn't have been able to cover it like we mentioned.
It must have been a reason.
Exactly. So there you go. Worked out for us. But Arcade 1-Up had a live stream today, and on that live stream, Tim, they announced that they were going to release a Marvel vs. Capcom 2 cabinet. Now, pre-orders will go live on September 8th, okay? So you guys can get your pre-orders on this. I don't know what the cost is going to be. Some people were saying that they said during the live stream it's going to be about $600.
Okay.
Okay, just to give you an idea. But Arcade 1-Up will be releasing a Marvel vs. Capcom 2 cabinet.
Okay.
Games include Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Marvel vs. Capcom, Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, Marvel Superheroes, X-Men Children of the Atom, X-Men Mutant Apocalypse, and Marvel Superheroes in War of the Gems. Tim, you're basically getting the entire Versus series
Right.
here from Capcom in this one cabinet. The cabinet will also come with a light-up marquee, a custom riser, and Wi-Fi online play. Pre-orders will start on September 8th, like we mentioned, with shipments going out just a few weeks later. And right now, we believe the price is going to be $600. But Tim, I would not be surprised if it's more than that. Considering you're getting 8 games here, I mean, I could see it ranging from $600 to $800. There may be shipping on that $600 that takes it up to that amount. I don't know, but. Look, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, for fighting game fans, Tim, may have been the pinnacle of arcade fighting games.
I think so.
For most people, I think we have very fond memories of playing Marvel vs. Capcom 2. It's a great game. I love that game, Tim. I still play it to this day, and I know a lot of you guys do too. The question is, are you going to buy it? So, for you guys out there, if you're in the live chat, if you are a Marvel vs. Capcom 2 fan, are you going to buy this cabinet? If it's $600 or $800, somewhere in between there, are you going to buy it? Are you okay playing it on MAME or Xbox or PlayStation or Dreamcast or whatever other platform you're playing it on? Let us know in the live chat. I want to hear your thoughts for sure.
They should have made it in a blue cabinet.
Just a blue, big. They could have put it in the big
little
blue.
blue.
Yeah, they have a little big blue Street
Yeah,
Fighter. Have
right.
you seen that one?
Yeah.
So they could have technically put it in that. Tim, we actually had a Marvel vs. Capcom 2 in a big blue
did.
that we sold for $1,800. Which seemed like a lot at the time, but that guy
probably
probably
not.
got the better end of the deal because that
I
thing's
think
probably
so.
worth who knows how much now. So we had it on location. It made really decent money for us. It was a great game. But if somebody comes up and says $1,800, Tim, I think we listen, right?
Yep.
And that's what happened. Yeah, we did. And
we actually put a number we thought nobody would buy it.
Yep, and somebody bought it.
Somebody bought it.
There it is. So it was fine. But Big Blue is definitely the cabinet I think of when I think of Marvel vs. Capcom 2 or a showcase cabinet. I think we've seen it both those, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's really no other cabinet I think of like that. Maybe like a converted Midway, but not so much. So if you plan on getting the arcade one-up version, let us know. And then Tim, I think YouTube Punk, Retro Amigo on Twitter, sent us this thing that he wanted us to be aware of. A lot of people, if you're not aware of the Amazon Smile program, it allows you to basically donate a portion of what you buy to a charity with no cost to you.
Right.
And so what he wanted us to mention is that Project Pinball is one of the charities you can donate to.
Nice.
So if you're a regular Amazon consumer, consider signing up for the Amazon Smile program. Again, this doesn't cost you anything, but it will make donations to the charity of whatever your choice is. Through this program, Amazon will donate about 0.5% of your eligible purchases to your favorite charitable organization. This program allows you to help your favorite nonprofit organization with no fees or cost incurred on your part. Let me repeat that. No fees and no cost incurred on your part. So, Project Pinball is among the charities listed on the platform. Be sure to select them from the list to start your contributions today. This is a great way to help these organizations out. So, I have the little screen here, Tim. You can see that when I did a search for Project Pinball, it was the second charity that came out. There's also a Pinball Outreach Project, which is a little bit different, but most people, I think, are familiar with Project Pinball. Tim, we've talked about it a lot in the past. It's a very worthy organization, and so you should probably, if you're not already doing the Smile program through another charity, you should consider doing Project Pinball. It's definitely a worthy charity, especially considering that we all love arcade games and pinball machines. Mm-hmm. So, definitely, if you're not a part of that, go ahead and sign up at smile.amazon.com and select Project Pinball for your charity. So, Tim, I think we're about done here. I did want to go over the live chat real quick and just see what people said about the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 cabinet. YouTube Punk says pass on it. Mr. Dwayne79 said played it with the boy all the time back when he was in elementary school. He's now 19. So there you go. Let's see. Mr. Dwayne says it's a buy for him. Okay, so and that's no problem. Look, everybody's going to be different here. I think the fact that they're giving you the riser with it is a pretty big deal. So, and it has the light-up marquee. So, you're probably expecting to pay at least $600. Like I said, it may creep on up there to $800. I wouldn't be surprised. But I think it's fair for what you're getting. Now, I think it was some of the guys here, they were looking at it and saying, Regzer Show in particular, saying it's not a Capcom cabinet. It's a Midway cabinet. Mm-hmm. And Tim, I don't know. It looks like a Midway cabinet, but I don't know if... Here, I'm going to put this back up. That just looks like generic arcade cabinet to me. Mm-hmm. Does it look... I know it looks like a Midway cabinet a little bit, but man, how many arcade cabinets look like that?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, I understand, like, for those of you guys... The problem is they did put Arcade 1-Up has put Midway games in this cabinet. But to me, if you're just looking at it, it looks like a generic cabinet. And Tim, I'm sure it's way cheaper for them to just produce generic cabinet than it is to make individual cabinets for each game, like they did for like Tron and some of the other games. And so I don't blame them for reusing this same template. Yes, it's close to a Midway cabinet, but man, it could just as easily be a generic cabinet too. So, to me. So, it just depends. But, so I'm not giving them a hard time on that. I think if it was in the Big Blue cabinet, it would be pretty cool, Tim. I agree with that. Mm-hmm. Because it just seems like that's the cabinet that people associate with the game. Absolutely. So, we had one in a Big Blue. Mm-hmm. We had one in a Big Blue. It was fantastic. So, with that in mind, I think Big Blue would have been a better choice. And considering they'd already done Big Blue, I think it would have been better. Mm-hmm. But it probably would have added to cost, too. Because their Big Blue cabinet is taller than pretty much every other game that they have. So, cost may have been an issue there as well. So, anyway.
But once again, they did not ask us.
Correct. Yeah, we had no input on that, so it is what it is. But anyway. Okay, Tim. Well, I think that about wraps it up for the regular show. I do want to mention real quick that the same thing we mention every show, Tim, and that's that we want your arcade-related videos. If you want some free advertising for your YouTube channel, we're looking for people to submit short videos, 10 minutes or less, about arcade-related topics. Send a link of your video to questions@arcaderepairtips.com, and our staff will review it. If we like it, we will use it during one of our live show episodes. Make sure you put a plug in for your channel so people will know where to find you. We look forward to seeing your submissions. Tim, we haven't gotten any submissions in a long time, but anytime you guys want to submit something, we'd be happy to promote that on our channel. Our whole goal here is to try to help people get more subscribers. And so if you're an arcade-related channel and you need help getting a couple more subscribers, we'd love to promote that content on our channel, so maybe we can get you over a hump if you're trying to get monetized or something like that. So please send them to questions@arcaderepairtips.com if you have any videos you'd like to submit. Now, Tim, I do want to remind everybody, contest@arcaderepairtips.com. Okay, and we will select a winner for this nice mini Karate Champ arcade machine.
Your chances are really good right now.
Yeah, that's right. I don't think we've gotten many submissions. I can see. Let me see real quick. I'll check the leaderboards, Tim. Is that what I need to do? Is that what this is called? So, let's see here. Do we have any? Okay, I think we're getting some in. Okay, they're coming in. They're trickling. But your chances are really good right now. So if you send an email to contest@arcaderepairtips.com, then you can get one of these. I'm going to go ahead and put it in the live chat for you guys while Tim models and shows off this in his Vanna White pose. So,
yep. If y'all can see it really good up here, it's the Karate Champ. It's got the side art. That's both sides. Little mini joystick and stuff. Fun game. Very fun. Micro player. You got quite a collection of these, Jonathan. These are just kind of good. Never been opened. You can just set it up on your shelf, or you can actually get it out and play it. Everybody knows by now, you know, if you want to hold the value to not open it, but then again, you don't get to play it. So
that's right. So again, this has not been opened, like Tim mentioned, so it is still sealed. There's a little piece of tape over that, and on the bottom as well. The box is a little beat up, Tim, but you know, it is what it is. So Karate Champ Mini Arcade 2, and we're gonna draw. Me and Tim will go through the list and select one at random, or we'll do a random number generator, and one of you guys will get a free Karate Champ Mini Arcade just for watching tonight. Again, if you're listening to this on the podcast feed, or if you're watching this video after the fact, then you probably missed out. And what I would tell you, Tim, is be back here next month for the next live show, and you will have a chance to win as well, right? Yep. We'll probably give something else away. Because, Tim, if Tim's looking at the game room, there's a ton of junk in here that I need to get rid of. So I figured we'd start with this tonight.
Okay.
So, Mini Karate Champ arcade game, completely sealed, brand new, to somebody who sends an email to contest@arcaderepairtips.com. So just a little reward for those of you who are here live. So there we go. Okay, Tim, well, let us go ahead and, is that the one-up version is what somebody says? Yes, absolutely. No. Those are bigger than this, right? Yeah, he's being funny. So, YouTube punk, it is what it is. No.
That's the 25-cent version.
Yeah, exactly. This is, I don't know. To your G.I. Joe, it may be full size.
Right.
So, there you go. But anyway, so contest@arcaderepairtips.com to be entered to win that. And then let's see what else we got here. Let's go ahead and talk about our contact information real quick, Tim, for those of people who want to actually contact us. You guys can email us at questions@arcaderepairtips.com, questions@arcaderepairtips.com. Put live show in the subject to get it mentioned on the show. Otherwise, we'll try to answer it whenever we get around to it. But again, questions@arcaderepairtips.com if you want to contact us. We have our YouTube page at youtube.arcaderepairtips.com. Now, obviously, those of you who are watching this video or are watching live know that. But for those of you guys on the podcast feed, what you need to know is you go to youtube.arcaderepairtips.com, look up this episode, and you can listen to the after show that is not posted on the podcast audio feed. So just something to keep in mind. And we do try to cover comments from the last live show on the next episode. Tim, we had several comments from the last show that we covered tonight. So if you guys want to, you can also leave your comments or questions there for us to cover as well. We have our podcast feed, which contains our live shows, our interviews, the question and answer podcast, and other things as well. You can subscribe to that on iTunes at itunes.arcaderepairtips.com, itunes.arcaderepairtips.com. We are also on Spotify, Tim, spotify.arcaderepairtips.com, spotify.arcaderepairtips.com. We're on Stitcher Radio at stitcher.arcaderepairtips.com. Tim, you can pretty much find us wherever fine podcasts are aggregated. We are on the Microsoft Store. We're on the Amazon Store. We're on, I use Pocket Cast. I think I mentioned that before. We're on the Pocket Cast feeds. Anywhere you find podcasts, you will find the Arcade Repair Tips live show and podcast feed. So go ahead and search for us. You will find us. Subscribe there, and you can get the audio version of this plus some other audio things that we do from time to time. And then we have our social media feeds at Facebook. We have our Facebook one at facebook.arcaderepairtips.com. We want to thank Mark for posting a lot of great information there. And I also post there, Tim. Sometimes you post there. We try to post all the latest news and goings-ons and deals.
A lot of deals.
A lot of deals this past month because we had Prime Day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so hopefully you guys got in a lot on a lot of those Prime Day deals. Tim, there were a lot of great ones this year. Much better than previous years, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys were able to get in on those, I'm really glad. We posted quite a few of them, Tim. There were some of those I bought a lot of, and I shouldn't have. But there's some really great deals. I couldn't help it. So if you guys want to keep track of all the deals we're posting, Tim, I mentioned earlier in the show that we had a caster deal. We get 4 casters with locks. For a really great price. I think it was $14 or something like that, Tim, for the 2-inch. So if you look that up on our Facebook feed, you can do it there. The Twitter feed has it there as well, and you can find that at twitter.arcaderepairtips.com, twitter.arcaderepairtips.com, or we're just at Arcade Repair on Twitter as well will work. So, Tim, I think I covered everything. Is there anything else that we're going to talk about?
No, we got some stuff coming up on a live show. You said you were going to do a big reveal.
Yes, I will talk about what my leader in the clubhouse is for album of the year.
Right.
So do you have an album of the year, Tim?
I do not. Probably have. All I listen to is old stuff, so I wouldn't even know half the new artists probably, but maybe.
So here's the thing. I know the new music is not as good as old music. Like, I totally understand that. But guess what, Tim? Some of this new music ain't half bad.
Okay.
Okay, that's what I'm telling you. And if you like old music, there's a couple of things. I can mention a couple of songs that just recently came out that you'll really, really like, I think. So you can stay tuned for that. We'll talk a little bit of music there. We'll also talk about shows we've been watching. Tim, did you have anything? We haven't talked. Usually Tim will send me that, but he's been so busy.
I have been watching just some... I kind of got to watching Ink Masters, and for whatever reason, that's kind of what I've been stuck on. I haven't really had much time, man. I haven't had much downtime to watch anything.
Well, you were on vacation. I was on vacation, and on vacation, I mean, you think on vacation you watch a lot, but
no, it's the opposite.
Exactly. We're traveling, and so it's a little bit different for us.
Or I'd start to watch something, I'd fall asleep.
That's right. I did watch the All-Star game, though, the MLB All-Star game, so maybe I'll have a couple of thoughts on that, and a couple of things I've been watching, including Jurassic Park Dominion, Tim, which I watched, so when it came out on demand, so
I
give
actually
you thoughts on
watched
that.
some stuff you recommended last time.
Oh, great.
So I did watch some of that.
Get your feedback then on that. So anyway, guys, I think that's going to end it here for the regular live show. If you're watching this live or on the archive, you can wait about 10 minutes or so. We'll be back with the after show. If you're listening to this on the audio podcast feed, you will have to look this up, like we mentioned, on YouTube to get the after show. But other than that, Tim, I think it's about time to go. Anything you want to say before we move on to the after show or next month?
Well, again, sorry for the delay in one day, but we appreciate those of who could be here tonight. So thank you. Let us know how you like the Friday night format. I don't know what's the best night for everybody else, and I know that it's probably not the best night once football season and stuff like that starts, but we do appreciate your time and for being here and for joining us. Even if you're watching it later, thank you for still tuning in.
Absolutely. And one more reminder, contest at arcaderepairtips.com. Send an email, name, address. If you would like this fine Karate Champ Mini Arcade, contest at arcaderepairtips.com. Okay, well, we'll see you here in the after show, or if you're exiting now, we'll see you next month. But we want you all to remember here at Arcade Repair Tips, when we fix the game,
you play the game.
Take care, everybody. We'll see you real soon.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Arcade Repair Tips live show. All of our past episodes are available on our website at arcaderepairtips.com or on our YouTube page. This show is intended for entertainment and educational purposes only. Please consult a professional before attempting to repair any coin-operated machines yourself. The preceding program is a Varcade Entertainment production.
And we're back. Okay, sorry it took us a little bit longer than usual, guys. I was letting Tim hear some of the music that I'm listening to now, all stuff that's pretty new. But the thing is that it all sounded old.
Yeah.
Right? Like all the stuff I played for you sounded really old. So we'll talk about that here in a second. I'll get Tim's opinion on some of these different albums and songs that we're listening to right now. Like I said, I like new stuff too, Tim. I don't have a problem with a lot of the new stuff that's out. I mean, some of it I do. I will say about half of it is good.
Okay.
But I will say this, like if Ed Sheeran, if you don't listen to Ed Sheeran, Tim, he's a talented dude.
Mm-hmm.
So Sam Smith, like some of these guys are really good. Look, I mean, there's so many Harry Styles, Tim. Like, have you heard anything Harry Styles?
Yeah.
I mean, he's good. He's good. I don't like all of his songs, but some of them are pretty good. So anyway. So I'm not saying all the new music is bad. There's some good stuff in there, but there's also really terrible stuff too. Just depends. So we talked a little bit about vacation, Tim. And I went to Gulf Shores, Alabama. I got to visit some places along the way. You went to South Carolina. Is there anything else you want to mention? Did you get to go anywhere cool or do anything? Or
ate some good chicken. If you live in the East Coast and you can go to Zaxby's, I'm very jealous right now. I thought Zaxby's chicken was some of the best I'd ever had.
Wow.
That was some good chicken.
See, I saw Zaxby's, but we didn't stop at one. So.
I did stop at a Bojangles because we don't have those.
That's true.
More of a Cajun flavor. Not super impressed. I'd rather have Popeyes. But Zaxby's was really good. I had Zaxby's in Selma, Alabama.
Okay.
Yeah, and you might remember what Selma's famous for?
I do not.
Selma is where the Civil Rights March started.
I knew that.
From Selma to was it Birmingham? No, not Birmingham. Montgomery.
Montgomery.
Okay, and so we were driving through there, and I saw Zaxby's and wanted some chicken, and it was so good. So most of the trip was down kind of I-20, and it took us on 96, Highway 96, and kind of up through the country. Georgia, lots of peach trees. You know what they're famous for and stuff. So a lot of pecan trees also, and so it was a good long drive, that's for sure. But overall, a good trip. If you live out that direction, a lot of friendly folks, a lot of good places to eat. We had some good seafood while we were gone. Had some good Mexican food, which wasn't really Tex-Mex. It was, but it was Mexican food. It was very good. Just a good trip overall. Of course, you guys went to the beach. We were at close to the beach, but we were more where they have a lighthouse and stuff like that. So it was a little different kind of beach than probably what you were at.
Sure.
But did y'all see any dolphins or anything?
We
like
did.
that?
We went on dolphin cruise, so we got to see some
nice.
dolphins on dolphin cruise. Obviously, I was trying to think of what else we did. I mean, we just basically hung out at the beach. Our beach house had a pool. So if we weren't on the beach, we were in the pool the whole time, and I definitely got more steps, that week than I normally do for a guy who usually sits at a desk all day. So, it was exhausting. I came back, I was actually pretty tired. So, but it was fun. I love going to the beach. Beaches is like one of my places to be. I would live there, except I don't like hurricanes, and so me and my wife have talked about if we ever have enough to buy a beach house, we'll have to keep a house somewhere else so that way we can flee to it whenever a hurricane comes. Because I'm not dumb enough to stand on my roof and tell the hurricane, you go away, kind of thing. So, but we had a good time. Glad to be back from vacation. I mentioned we had Prime Day and all those deals, Tim. I bought a lot on Prime Day, got some really good deals. Hopefully you did too, Tim, because it seems like the price of everything's going up, so it's nice to see some stuff be a little cheap for once. So Prime Day actually I think went pretty well, and it was I think it was better than previous years. I tend to rate Prime Days on how much I buy, and this year I bought a lot more than usual. So.
Okay.
And a lot of those deals I posted, a lot of you guys bought stuff, so I appreciate that. Tim, we obviously get some revenue from that, so thank you guys. Everybody who purchased through our links, we are very appreciative of that as well.
Thank you.
So, Tim, any investment stuff going on? I always have it on the outline, but I don't know what you've been doing.
Well, the only thing I've been buying lately is gold and silver, and I've kind of been turning a lot of my stocks. You might remember we always say even right now is a good time to buy because stuff is on sale.
Now it's come up.
Yeah.
July was, I think they said the stock market was 22% up overall.
Okay.
So I mean things are up a little bit more already from where we were. So
right.
I mean if you bought in May, you may be up already on some of your stuff.
Right. So hopefully your 401k is better, but I bought a lot of oil stocks when they were really low. When the oil was down to $19 a barrel, I bought some oil stocks. They're doing really good. So I'm just kind of holding them right now. But I just got an alert on my phone earlier that Ethereum, for some reason, is going up right now. I don't know why the crypto is making quite a rise right now. I don't know something must have happened because crypto has been really down. But again, maybe a good time to buy if you got some extra money and can invest right now. I know with the cost of inflation and stuff, it's tight on everybody, and everywhere you go, everything's going up. We were talking about the cost of everything, and having to make choices. Maybe not your favorite restaurant, going to a different one just because it's cheaper or whatever.
Buying the cheap bacon instead of the good bacon.
Right. So
cutting back on
we
your
understand
grocery
that
bills.
everybody's kind of making those sacrifices right now. It's a tough time to sell games, right now, but maybe a good time to buy. So.
Absolutely. So. I did tease. I guess I'll wait till we get to the media part of this before I get to there. I did watch the All-Star game. I mentioned that, and the Home Run Derby. Enjoyed both of those. So I always like the Home Run Derby, Tim. Mm-hmm. And my boy Corey Seager got the shaft, Tim. He hit the second most home runs and just happened to be with the guy who hit the first most home runs. Mm-hmm. Like, let's just let them all hit home runs and whoever take like the top half or whatever it is instead of putting them against each other, But I tell you, Corey Seager, obviously longtime Dodger before he came over to the Rangers. The All-Star game was in Dodger Stadium. He got a great ovation from the fans there. I think they still love Corey Seager a lot. Corey Seager is a fantastic player, Tim. So, but I enjoyed the Home Run Derby. I enjoyed the All-Star game. Tim, I still love baseball a whole lot. And that's what I discovered. I bought tickets for a game. I haven't been to a game this year. We were supposed to go and we all got COVID, but that didn't work out. So we bought tickets to another game and crossing fingers, no COVID. So, or anything else comes up. September.
Okay.
So I'm taking the kids. I was going to take some buddies with me because that was going to be the second game I went to. But since I didn't take them last time, I'm going to take the family this time. They need to go. Want to take the kids. Want the kids to have a good experience. So, and now that we have that nice indoor park, I don't have to worry about it being 1,000,000 degrees in August.
Right.
So, which is always great too. Okay. NFL, NBA, NHL off seasons, Tim. I've been hearing the reports out of Cowboy Camp a little bit out there in Oxnard, California. So. It sounds like our kicking is suspect, and we need more. We need more receivers. That's what I've heard.
That's what I think the scouting report has been.
So I think they're gonna.
So
they've got some cap space, so hopefully the Cowboys will be able to pick up another receiver before the season starts. So I guess we'll find out. But Tim, anything else? Obviously, there's been some NBA trades. I haven't been keeping up too much with that because the Mavericks haven't been doing a whole lot. But except for we lost Jalen Brunson to the Knicks. So, hopefully the Knicks, I'm sure he'll do well there, Tim. He's, we saw how he did in the Utah Jazz series. I think he Luka is obviously our guy with the ball, but he can be a guy with the ball too. He proved that. And so hopefully the Knicks utilize him like that. He gets a chance to play there. He's really good. Good luck to him going forward. But they are being investigated for tampering, Tim. I don't know if you saw that.
I did see that.
So we'll see what happens with that. Any other sports thoughts, Tim, or college football thoughts or anything? Oklahoma, Texas, or SEC teams now? Is that how that works?
Well, they're still in the Big 12 for right now.
And we got this quarterback on our team. What's his name, Tim? What's that last name? Was it Manning?
Yeah.
I thought so.
Why he wanted to do that when he could have went to a winning team? Somebody got paid. That's all I know.
Well, actually, they're all getting paid now.
Yeah, so. He must have got to pay a really big contract to go there.
Exactly.
But no,
we'll see how it works out. We'll see.
It will be interesting.
As a Texas fan, I'm very excited, though.
I bet. I would be, too. It's just a shame he's not going to have anybody to throw to. Somebody has to catch these great passes. But anyway, we'll have some fun when those games come up. I do think that it's going to be a good college football season. I'm really looking forward to it. I think there was an NFL game actually last night.
There was. And I saw
that, yeah. Now that some of the games will start preseason and stuff, I don't get too excited. I probably won't even watch. If it's on and I'm not doing nothing else, I'll probably watch one or two, but not really that. Just kind of getting my mouth watering, a little prep, waiting for football season to get here.
Well, Tim, I have a feeling that this football season is going to disappoint us like always. So.
I don't have a lot of high hopes on this one, but
we'll see. It's interesting. So, but anyway, I think, is that everything? Anything else? Any other news you want to cover before we get to music, movies, and TV shows? On. Okay. So I teased in the regular show that I have an album that's kind of my leader in the clubhouse for album of the year, and that I just got it on vinyl, and I will show it to you guys. This is The Joy of Music by Ben Rector. This is the vinyl cover, of course, and it's hard to see. I got a lot of what do you call it, glare There it is.
There you go.
So there you go. The Joy of Music by Ben Rector. I like Ben Rector. A lot of you guys are probably familiar with the song Brand New. It's probably the thing that has the most streams. But Ben Rector reminds me of kind of like a Billy Joel, Elton John-esque type singer-songwriter. Steve Winwood. Tim, of course, you do know the song Range Rover that I sent to you, which is kind of a funny song that Ben Rector did. And a great music video, by the way. And has a cameo with Steve Winwood. Well, The Joy of Music is basically music for old folks, is what I like to call it, or those of us in our 40s and our 50s. So it just talks about kind of where he is in his life. He just had a daughter, and so there's a lot of songs about her. It does have cameos by Snoop Dogg and Kenny G, Taylor Goldsmith, and Dave Koz, Tim.
That's kind
and all of these songs are great.
A pretty wide range of cameo.
Absolutely, yes. The Kenny G song is really good. Hanging Out is really good. So, but if you like that singer-songwriter style, Steve Winwood, Elton John, Billy Joel, I would say that you need to check out The Joy of Music by Ben Rector. Ben Rector is also known for his music videos. Tim, you've seen Range Rover and how inventive and creative that was. He did music videos for each one of these, and each one of these music videos he teams up with the Muppet Workshop. Okay. And so you see this big red guy here. This big red guy here is named Joy.
Okay.
And so you see Joy in almost every one of these music videos. But the music videos are very creative. You should check out the music videos on YouTube if you haven't already. But this is my leader in the clubhouse for Album of the Year. This is The Joy of Music by Ben Rector. So I also let Tim listen to two other songs that I've been listening to that I call new old songs. Okay. Songs that sound old but are new.
They definitely did.
So one of those songs is Madison by a band called Drug Dealer, all one word.
Okay.
So Madison sounds like something. What did you say, Tim? When you
Marvin Gaye.
Marvin Gaye-ish. I was thinking James Taylor. So like when I thought about it, or Steve Miller Band-ish.
Okay.
Okay, you see that? You kind of see that?
I can see
Steve Miller, James Taylor. And you said Marvin Gaye kind of thing. It's very 70s sounding. The song Madison by Drug Dealer just came out within the last month. But when you listen to it, you will think it came out in the 70s. Because it definitely has that vibe. A lot of their songs have that vibe. I'm not fond of the band name, but their music is really good. So Madison by Drug Dealer, check that out. The other one that I played for Tim while we were kind of in between here and he was snacking on his popcorn was Easier Said Than Done by The Sacred Souls. Tim, this was probably more of that 70s soul vibe. So maybe closer to Marvin Gaye than the Madison song. But Easier Said Than Done by The THEE Sacred Souls has a very 70-ish soul vibe to it as well. So if you're looking for stuff that's new, that sounds old, this is the stuff that you're looking for.
There you go.
And I mentioned to Tim, a lot of you guys have heard Silk Sonic, which is Anderson .Paak and Bruno Mars' little collaboration where they do a lot of 70s-ish sounding music. All that stuff was recorded on original 70s equipment, which is what gives it that sound. But those tend to have, like, the Silk Sonic stuff has more modern lyrics, whereas the two that we've mentioned here have more of a almost pure 70s sound to them. So if you like that kind of sound, check out those songs. I think you'll really like it. Again, that was Madison by Drug Dealer, and then Easier Said Than Done by The Sacred Souls. Okay. So great stuff. I'm a Spotify guy, Tim. I listen to a lot of that stuff, and so it recommends stuff to me all the time, and that's some of the recommendations I've had. So, but just, I mean, there's still great music out there. Don't think that you just have to listen to the same 70s, 80s, and 90s music all the time. You don't. Right. There's some really great new music out there that you should be checking out. So, okay, Tim, let's talk about some movies and some TV shows. Now, you mentioned, what's the tattoo show that you
Ink
mentioned?
Masters.
Ink Masters, that is correct.
Kind of watching that, going back through watching some old seasons. It's kind of like one of those, that's a great thing about streaming. If it's not new, but it's new to me. Yep. And so I enjoy watching that. I did watch, was it The Lost City?
Yes, that is fantastic. Did I mention that?
Yeah, I think you did.
Okay.
And you told me to watch Jerry and Marge
Go Large.
And that was kind of fitting right when the big lottery came out. And everybody was, I think we had some fun discussions in our family time about what we would do with $1 billion.
Go ahead, finish your thought. I don't want to.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, so did you like it? That's all I want to
know. Oh, yeah. Okay. It was a great movie.
Okay.
Great.
Everybody I've recommended Jerry and Marge Go Large to has liked it and really liked it. So, again, Jerry and Marge Go Large, it's on Paramount Plus. Anyway.
For some reason, I'm always a fan of true stories. It just, because it's neat, and it's something that I hadn't heard of until I saw the movie. So that was good. Something I didn't realize about, I knew that if you took, so it was $1.2 billion, right? So I knew that if you took a lump sum, you would only get like $700 million, which is pretty good payday, right? But I thought that was because of a huge amount of taxes.
Nope.
No, that's what you get because so the taxes then come after that.
Correct.
Which is about another 200 million.
Correct.
You actually, if you took the lump sum, would only get, I say only, about 400 million out of the 1.2 billion. That's a big cut.
Agreed.
So then I looked at it.
Congratulations to the IRS for winning the.
But if you took the 30-year payment, you would get like $33 million a year or something like that.
Yes.
$39 million. So
Yes.
I'm like, that would have been the one tempting to say, hey, I think I'll just take it in my installments then and write it out. But then again, you take $400 million, you can pretty much pay off what you owe,
right,
and have a few vacations for the rest of.
I'm sure the taxes would probably work out worse in your favor going forward, though, because that $39 million right now, tax rates are only going to go up. And
right.
So I mean, that $39 million is going to dwindle every year just because of taxes.
Right.
And so if you take the $500 now, and you invest it well, the $500 million now, and you invest it well, you could do really well. You know what I'm saying?
So. Yeah, exactly. But I thought, so that was part of my deal, though. It was so big. It wasn't like, let's say you win $10 million. What do you do with $10 million? You buy a new house, you buy a few new cars, you may quit your job.
Sure.
At $400 million or higher, that's way more. I mean, that's like buy your house, buy my friend's a house, buy my family's a house, But that's a lot of money. That's almost so much money that you can't just... unless you just want to live extravagantly, which I don't really have any plans to. I was thinking that would be the kind of money that I would say, what am I going to buy? I would buy a business.
Yeah.
I would buy a restaurant.
That's what I'm saying, investments.
I would definitely be investing a good portion of that. So I thought that, anyway, it was interesting to watch that movie about the same time the lottery fever hit everybody. Even some 5 numbers were winning $1 million. That's crazy. Mm-hmm. But to watch, if you haven't seen the movie and you got kind of caught up in the lottery fever of the last one, you really would need to go back, like Jonathan said, and watch that movie. It was really good. Great ending. Perfect ending. It was
Jerry and Mark
fantastic.
Go Large on Paramount Plus. Watch
Yeah.
it. Every single person that I've said to see it has come back to me and said I loved it.
Yeah.
So I haven't had somebody say it was bad yet.
And just them, the 2 characters and it was just great. It was just a funny, feel good, leave with a smile on your face movie. That was it.
Absolutely, and those are the kind I like. So
yeah.
Anything else, Tim? Before I get into my stuff,
I'll watch one that's on your list, so we can talk about the most hated man on the internet.
So I have not. Okay, let's go ahead and start there.
I have not finished it.
I have not finished.
Okay.
I have 3 episodes in.
I'm probably farther along than that.
Right now, there's a documentary on Netflix called "The Most Hated Man on the Internet," and it is about a guy named Hunter Moore.
Yes.
I was not aware of the story of Hunter Moore
I was not either.
at all. But he started a website called IsAnyoneUp.com, which was basically a revenge porn website. Okay,
Right.
But it was deeper than that. That's what we're finding out in the documentary, and that he probably had a hacker that was getting into these accounts and getting the pictures.
Right.
In some cases. Now, some people did submit,
Right.
Or
let's say
exes and things.
Let's say you sent a picture to your ex. It was on their phone. They're using that. You don't almost have a leg to stand on. Once you send a picture, but for somebody to hack into your computer and take a picture of you,
that's different.
That's a little different, and that's some of that what was going on, or that we were led to believe.
So I'm at the part right now where the website has already gone offline, and he's starting a new website. That's where I'm at. Where you at?
That's about where I'm at.
Okay, so we're at the same place.
So we're at the same place.
So I'm there, and it's very compelling right now. Highly recommend it. They do a good job of not showing anything, which I think was really important. Like while they're telling the story,
right.
They show you just blurred images of everything, which is, like I said, that's important.
Right, because it's people's privacy.
Exactly.
And somebody's daughter.
Right, exactly. So but they get the point across through that. You know what's going on. This guy basically posts this stuff up. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about anybody or anything. And he just doesn't. And
that's why he's the most hated man on the internet.
Exactly. So the documentary, I think, so far has been very compelling. I will recommend it because so far I've really enjoyed it. What about you, Tim?
It is very good. It's just kind of presents, and also a good lesson. Like I have older young adults, kids, to remember, what you put out there is out there. And so it's a kind of a lesson.
The internet is forever.
Right.
That's
it
what I always
doesn't
tell
go
people.
away. There's no... And I don't care if you're using Snapchat or whatever you're doing. Just be careful what you post. Even if you're just angry and you post something or you say something on Facebook or you're just venting or telling off an employer or whatever, that stuff stays out there. So just be careful. Choose your words wisely. That's a good video to watch.
Absolutely.
What else have you seen? A lot of those I'm not familiar with.
Okay, so I mentioned we can go TV shows. So I watched We Met in Virtual Reality on HBO Max. So I don't know if this is for you or not. The entire thing takes place in a VR world called VR Chat.
Okay.
And in VR Chat, you can use a full body suit to interact with the game. So basically, it's the story about how these people meet in virtual reality. And so they all have these avatars, and all these avatars are good looking. But the biggest point that the movie makes is that in virtual reality, you can start over.
Right.
So if you're whatever your personality is now, you can reflect that more in VR than you can in real life, because in real life you have expectations, you have societal pressures, you have all this stuff, but in VR you don't have that as much. And so the platform gives people an opportunity to show more of their real self because they're not bound by some of the little social and different factors that you have in real life. And so that's pretty much the point of the movie, is that VR is a place where people can go and be more accepted than they could be in real life. Okay, and it talks about people who have built relationships in the virtual world. Some of those are love relationships. There's a story about a girl who teaches an ASL class in VR Chat. So she has like 50 students per class, and they actually do the ASL again, full body VR. So they've got gloves on, and she can move her fingers and show the ASL, and they all practice it and everything like that. So literally through VR, she's teaching people how to sign. There's a tribute to a person who does like a kind of like a little funeral ceremony in the game, which is interesting. But the entire thing is shot in VR Chat. The entire thing. So I mean, it literally is like a cartoon movie in a way.
Maybe we shouldn't need to shoot a video in VR.
Yeah. Like
one of these years,
it's gonna have to be like that Dire Straits video, right? Money for nothing. That's how it would look. But maybe we need to be in VR Chat. But I found it very interesting because, I mean, like I said, it makes it look great, but I know that there's bullying that goes on in VR and stuff, and they really don't talk about that in the movie. But the movie does a good job of explaining why people want to be in that world. People want to be in that world because they can let loose there. They don't have to worry about putting up this front or this guard. They can be whatever they want to be, basically. And so gender and things like that don't really matter in VR because you make yourself the way you want to make yourself.
Right.
So what I'm saying. So it allows people who maybe not be as widely accepted in real life be more or have a place where they can be more accepted.
I'm a lot cooler online.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in a way. So, but it's very interesting. I mean, I don't know if it's for you. I wouldn't recommend you watch it unless you're just interested in that kind of thing. But I just saw it and I was bored one night and thought I'm going to watch it. So, I mean, but
I kind of am at that stage right now. There's nothing I'm dying to see, so I'm just kind of randomly looking, and I've found some good and some bad, and I really haven't found anything great yet. But I'm looking for a new show, so maybe you guys got some recommendations in there. There's a lot of content I've noticed been dumped into streaming lately, and some not and been taken off. So a lot of chatter about that. The new Batman that was canceled.
Batgirl,
right?
Batgirl.
Batgirl was canceled, and a lot of people were really looking forward to that. And
so here's the deal. Shigeru Miyamoto, I don't know if this is necessarily his quote, but I've heard it attributed to him, saying that, a delayed game is just a game that didn't come out on time.
Right.
A bad game will always be a bad game.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So, like, if you delay a game, that game can still be a good game.
Right.
But a bad game if you release it, will always be a bad game.
Right.
And movies are the same way. So if you release a movie now and it's a bad movie, it will always be a bad movie.
Right.
But if you delay that movie, or say you're not going to put it out, then, it doesn't, what I'm saying, you never have that bad movie.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So, I mean, I understand it in a way. It's a lot of money to sink into a project that's not going to see the light of day, but maybe they can do some reshoots, maybe they can work around it and figure something out. I mean, I know they're saying they're not going to release it as it is now, but who knows?
It makes you wonder how bad was it?
Exactly.
It's like, because they were almost wrapped it up, right? And it's like interesting.
I think they're in post-production. I think everything had been filmed.
Right.
Like, they're literally editing.
Right. So I don't understand that. So, but I think it shows, though, it's a sign of the times and where we are. Whereas they spent $90 million and people are spending $2 million, and
you got to remember the people who greenlight that are not the people who are in charge now.
Right.
Okay, the people who greenlit that was AT&T, HBO.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? But now they're Discovery, Warner Brothers HBO.
I see.
See what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So AT&T sold Warner Brothers, which is HBO, Warner Brothers, and all that stuff, off to Discovery. Okay, so Discovery Media owns all that now. So AT&T's team greenlit that, but Discovery's the one that has it now. So they could have seen it and said, we ain't releasing this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, they weren't... Same thing with CNN Plus. Remember CNN Plus was supposed to come out? So their little add-on channel. Well, Discovery canceled it like after 2 weeks because the original regime was the one that put that in place. But now that Discovery's in charge, they're like, this thing ain't gonna make money. You know, we gotta get rid of that. So anyway, I don't know if it was Iwata or Shigeru Miyamoto on that quote, YouTube Punk. It was one of them. And it's attributed to several people. It may not have even been either one of them. I've seen it attributed to both. So, but it is a good quote. Like, you know, a delayed game can still be a good game. A bad game is a bad game forever. So, I mean, it's something to keep in mind.
And we've all known games that were rushed that never had a chance.
Oh, Glenn Richards, is Johnson a computer programmer for games? I am not a computer programmer for games. I am a business computer programmer. I could do some games, but no, I wish I was in the gaming industry sometimes. But then I read all the horror stories. I have a very cushy job, so I'm very happy that after reading some of those people who are game developers that I didn't go into that. There's about 5 years ago, there's a whole series on Kotaku about that kind of stuff.
That's what I was trying to remember. What did I see that I couldn't remember? And have you seen Take Your Pill?
No.
Have you heard of it?
No.
Okay. It's new. It's about people are under pressure like at gaming and stuff, and they were taking Adderall and to keep alert, stay awake, and all this stuff. And even parents are like, and you know, their kid was acting better, and they're like, "Did you take your pill? Did you take your pill? Did you take your pill?" To this guy, is finally he's an adult, and he's like, "I gotta get off this stuff. I cannot hardly function my life without it." And I wasn't that bad before, but anyway, Take Your Pill is very good. It's about, you know, there's legal drugs. It's a methamphetamine is what is Adderall. If you take Adderall, is a version of meth, you know, and it's like, but it's a low dose, and it does stimulate your brain, and it works. So at the same time, it's like part of it is we have a generation of ADD and all this. I think I have some ADD, to be honest. You know, I have a hard time sometimes focusing on one thing. I've always got 100 things going on, and it helps with that. So part of it is we've given kids and they're addicted and we're on these drugs at the same time but it's also really helped. The guys were saying that I created games, I created things that I couldn't have done had I not been on the medication, and it helped me to concentrate, and I worked for 30-something hours when my boss was demanding it of me and stuff. But at the same time, that's not healthy either. And so it's a really good documentary called Have You Taken Your Pill? Or something like that.
Okay. I think I saw it on Netflix. Like,
it's on Netflix,
I was about to say, yeah. I'm
YouTube, watching it now.
Okay. YouTube Punk. Jonathan programs for databases. Yeah, mostly. I'm mostly a database programmer. You know, obviously, some of my software is out there. I did Mart, so the MAME adult ROM removal tool. If you guys remember that, that's still up on timsarcade.net if you want to download that. I do a lot of what I do now is ASP.NET based, so it's a lot of server side stuff or PHP based. You know, I mean, it's a living, so I can say that. So, and you know, I mean, it's cushy for the most part. I sit at a desk all day and write my code and go home in the afternoon, and very rarely do I get calls on the weekends. So I mean, you gotta love that.
And you don't think about it much once you leave.
Exactly,
the office, right? I
don't think about it much when I leave. So it is a very nice job. I'm very lucky to have it. So, but you know, part of me got into programming because of games, and you know, I wrote a front end at one time and a jukebox front end. You know, I was in the process of writing a MAME front end. I got pretty far in it before I just decided, you know, there's other options out there. And then I did write a jukebox front end at one time, Tim. I don't know if you remember that, but I got that pretty far in that. So I mean, I've done some stuff that outside of just business stuff, but I'm mostly just database server side scripting style programmer. So pretty standard, but hey, like I said, it's a living, so it is what it is. A couple more things here, Tim. Jurassic Park Dominion just came out on demand. I did pay to see it.
Okay.
It is not as bad as everybody says, but it's not good either.
Okay.
Okay, it's a thumbs in the middle, like this.
Okay. This is being honest.
Yeah, look, I loved it for the memories, right? Because, I mean, it brings back everybody from Jurassic Park and everybody from the Jurassic World series, kind of puts them together. Fantastic stuff. So, if you want to watch, if you've seen all the Jurassic Park movies, watch it. It's worth it, okay? You'll see dinosaurs fight each other and all that. But that is not nearly as impressive as when Jurassic Park first came out. Right. I mean, in Jurassic World, even the first couple of Jurassic Worlds,
It's hard to
good.
top those. Once you've seen it.
Exactly. It's good though. I enjoyed it, but it's not going to be the best movie you've ever seen, but it's definitely not going to be the worst movie you've ever seen.
Okay.
Somewhere in the middle. If you've seen all the rest of them, see this one.
It's not going to be as bad as Catwoman, right?
Oh, no.
Or Batwoman. What is
it?
What's it called? Batgirl. Okay.
No. Well, Catwoman was terrible too.
Yeah, it was.
But no, it is good. I mean, look, it's good. It's not like, oh, you have to see this movie good. But it's not as bad as some people made out to be.
Is it $9.99 or $19.99? You got to buy it to watch it, or wait a couple more weeks till it's $5.99 and you rent it.
Yeah, I would rent it.
There you go.
Yeah, I think it was a $10 rental for me. I may have had some credit.
Okay.
So it was worth $10 for me to see it. So I mean, like I said, I may have some credit because I get like the Amazon credits for slow shipping.
Yeah.
So if you're a Prime member and you ship your stuff slow, you get like extra digital credits. You guys should definitely do that if you want some extra credits. So. But YouTube Puck says Sandman just dropped, and I've seen this, Tim. I'm not much of a horror guy, and I think it's more of a horror show.
Okay.
I'm not for sure, but it's getting rave reviews across the board.
Okay.
So I may look into it just because of that, but I haven't seen that. Obviously, people have been watching what's it called, Stranger Things, and I just keep everybody keeps singing "Run Up That Hill" and Master of Puppets by Metallica, and I'm saying I'm just over here like. I think we talked about this too. I'm not watching Stranger Things until it's all over, and then I'm going to binge it. So I'm just out of the loop on that. I'm sorry. But Kate, I do listen to American Top 40 every week, and the Kate Bush song's like number 17 right now.
Wow.
So. And I never thought it was a good song to begin with, Tim. Like, even when it was originally on American Top 40, I didn't think it was that good, okay? And I still don't think it's a great song, but I'm glad it's getting attention because it's cool when old things come back.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
Oh, the chat room popped up.
Yeah.
We got a lot.
YouTube Bunk said, had a friend tell me at his old job someone told him that the customer, needed GBs for his DBs. Oh, GBs, gigabytes. Oh, my goodness. Well, what is Dr. Brown on Back to the Future? 1.23
gigawatts.
no, it's gigawatts.
Yeah.
It's gigawatts, not gigawatts.
Yeah,
gigawatts. So, and just Christopher Lloyd just doing his best pronunciation there, gigawatts. So it's actually gigabytes, I guess. Gigabytes if you want to be corrected. So, DB's databases, of course. So anyway, okay, and the only other thing that I've been watching is Lego Masters Australia Edition.
Okay.
And you may be like, why are you watching the Australian Lego Masters? So Lego Masters US did a teaser show with a Jurassic World style build, but it was only 30 minutes, and then they delayed it till the fall. Usually it comes out in the summer. And I was pissed because me and my daughter watch Lego Masters. We love Lego Masters, so I'm in the Lego Masters group on Reddit because I want to see what everybody else is saying about this cheap episode they gave us. And everybody's like, you should just watch the Australian version. I'm like, the Australian version?
Right.
And sure enough, Tubi, Tubi, that service,
Tubi.
You can watch Lego Masters Australia on there.
Okay.
So we've been watching them.
And it's good?
And it's good. And they're maybe better than the American people at building Lego. So if you like Lego Masters, you should check out the Australian version that's on Tubi. There are some commercials, but they're not that intrusive at all. So
it was funny because my son, who got married, he lives on base.
Right.
Okay. And he's on base, and one of his friends said, I want to have something shipped to yours instead of the barracks. Let me ship it to your house. He said, okay. So this big box come in, and I said, the ladies were there, and my son was at work, and I said, I'll get it. And I go out there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to break my back. This thing is heavy. So I drag it basically in the house, and I'm getting it in there. And his friend comes over after work, and I said, I got to know what's in that thing. And he's like, he didn't want to say. And I'm like, okay, how weird can it be, And he says, it's Legos. And here's a 20-year-old guy, that got this Lego set. He said, and it was, I said, I'm like, that's a lot of Legos in there. And he said, well, yeah, $1,200 worth. So I was like, that is a lot of Legos. So anyway, I thought it was funny that he was, but some kind of Titanic set or whatever, and it was like, wow. $1,200 worth for that box. I was like, oh, wow.
My brother-in-law has the big Millennium Falcon, and has 007 car, and has the International Space Station, and a couple other adult Lego sets. The adult Lego sets are really cool too.
Okay, well,
I'm just saying.
That must be what this obviously was a big box and cost a lot of money. It was heavy.
Yeah. The adult Lego sets are really cool. They're very expensive.
Okay.
Very expensive.
So that $1,200 is in the ballpark.
Yeah,
of what these things cost.
Depending on what set it is, it definitely yes for the Titanic set. Yes, for the Titanic set, it definitely is. That Titanic set's like.
Oh yeah, I know. I carried it in, drug it in the house.
I was about to say, like if you build it. I'm talking about when you build it.
Build is huge. Huh?
Yeah, it's like 4 feet by 2 feet tall or something like
cool.
that. 1 feet tall.
Anyway, maybe he'll be on Lego Masters.
There you go. So YouTube Punk says about Sandman, it does have some horror elements, probably similar to Legion. So I did like the first season of Legion a whole lot. That's the show is based on the X-Men character Legion, Tim, if you're not familiar with it.
Yeah.
I did like Legion a whole lot, so I may check it out a little bit. I've heard, great reviews so far from what I've seen.
What is it on?
I'm pretty sure it's on Netflix.
Netflix, okay. I'll watch that too.
So there you go. Okay, one more time, Tim, before we go. Last reminder. Contest at arcaderepairtips.com email address. Okay, email us at contest@arcaderepairtips.com. Put your name, put your address in there so we know where to ship this thing. One of you guys will be receiving a Karate Champ in the mail. So
and anybody else that doesn't win, we'll just delete it. We're not keeping your address for anything.
Yeah, not keeping it. So just making sure that if you guys want an opportunity here, that you send an email to contest@arcaderepairtips.com. Send that email, and I'll let Tim pick, or maybe we'll do a random number generator, and one of you guys will get this nice mini Karate Champ arcade that's about, I don't know. It says it's got full color screen and removable joystick, Tim.
Okay.
So there you go. And what do you think? 6 inches tall?
Yeah.
So there you go.
About 6 or 7 inches tall.
Yeah, I don't know if it says what the size is exactly on here, but it will need 4 AA batteries, not included. So there you go. Okay, but anyway, okay. Well, I think we're out of here. Thank you guys for joining us on a Friday instead of a Thursday. Tim, your anniversary is not on September. What is it now?
No.
September 1st, is it? September 1st is the next one, if we do it on the actual time.
Okay.
So September 1st will be it. So
should be fine.
Yeah, but anyway. YouTube Punk says Titanic's not as big as the USS Flag. So apparently maybe that set's bigger.
Oh, wow.
I saw the Sanctum Sanctorum from Doctor Strange the other day. Like that set. Ooh, I wanted to buy that set too. That's an adult set. I'm a big Doctor Strange fan, and it looked awesome. But Sanctum Sanctorum is that's his little base that has the little symbol on the top in New York City. Really wanted that. So anyway, I did not purchase it, and it's $250. So that's out of my price range. But anyway, we're out of here. So September 1st, hopefully, if everything goes right, we'll be back here, and you guys will be back with us. We'll talk about the same things we talked about this time. More questions, more of your questions, more news, and more after show topics. So you guys will join us then, and we'll look forward to seeing you. Take care. Have a great rest of your August, back to school and all that kind of stuff. And we'll see you in September. Take care.
Bye, everybody.